Welcome to the Realm Kast. I am your host, the Mortal Kombat FANTiM, and with me as always is my co-host, our lore master, Yanni. Welcome, Yanni.
Thanks, FANTiM, and thanks for our returning guests too. Welcome, guys. FANTiM, you want to introduce everybody?
Yeah, so we have Tabmok here with us. You might remember him. I mean, of course, if you follow Mortal Kombat, you know Tabmok, but he was previously with us on our Mortal Kombat's Forgotten Lore episode. And then we've also, hey Tabmok, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me here, guys.
Hey, welcome glad back. To have you back. And then we've also brought back BruskPoet, who came on the show previously to talk about Mortal Kombat 11's inconsistencies. So welcome back, Brusk.
Happy to be here, guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for joining. And guys, if you haven't checked them out, were some fun episodes. So have a listen.
So normally we start off, kind of talking about how Mortal Kombat has affected you. But since you're both returning guests, let's tell everyone why we're here today. Yanni, do you want to kind of break it down?
Yeah, sure. So it's quite common knowledge that there are a lot of fans of Mortal Kombat 2021, the movie, and there are a lot of people who did not like the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie. So we here at the Realm Kast, FANTiM and I, have made it clear that there were things that we both really liked and things that we were very unhappy with. Course, right? There was a sort of balance to what we've thought, but we generally did sort of enjoy the movie despite those problems that we had with it. However, we decided to bring on two almost opposing viewpoints onto the show to talk about the movie with us. FANTiM, you want to break it down?
Yeah, so we have basically taken the whole movie and broken it down into 10 different chapters or sections, parts of the movies, different acts, and we're just going to kind of start talking about these different parts of the movie and give you guys an opportunity to kind of talk about what you did and didn't like about it. And, I don't want to say which one of our guests is, the hater for the movie and which one's the supporter for the movie, but let's go ahead and just ask you guys.
You can just look and see, you can figure it out.
So let's start this off on a positive note. Why don't you tell us who is your favorite character in the new movie? Maybe this will help our listeners kind of to figure out who liked the movie and who didn't. So I'm not expecting either of you to say Cole Turner was my favorite character, but if that's it, then please say it.
You mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Same thing.
It's been a while.
All right, Tabmok, who was your favorite character in the movie?
Without a doubt, hands down, Kano. He had all the best lines.
All right.
You know what? I think objectively it's Kano for me, but I think if I really want to put a spin on this, I will say Kung Lao. I think because I did really like Kung Lao. I really liked his characterization. I mean, we'll probably get into it a little bit later, but just a quick, a little quick summary as to why I really like Kung Lao was because I think his the way they portrayed his character in this movie was different from the games and different from how he's been in the games recently. And I really am not a fan of how he is in the games. And having the opposite approach in the movie, I think, was the step in the right direction.
Kung Lao's entrance in the movie was pretty badass.
It was pretty good, yeah. So, we'll get into it maybe a little bit later, but Kung Lao was pretty good.
You know what? These answers are not at all what I expected from either of you. So yeah, that's cool. It's kind of leaving everybody in the dark. But I think
want to hear what you expected now.
Oh, see. Tabmok, I expected you to say Cole. I'm just kidding. and Brusk, I expected Brusk to say Kano. Or I don't know, Tabmok. I don't know who I expected from you, but I expected Brusk to say Kano.
I thought you were going to say that you expected me to say nobody. I hated everything.
That too.
I was initially expecting Liu Kang, but then I realized that actually you would probably have some problems with how he was portrayed this time.
We'll get into it. Yeah, we'll get into it.
There we are. Yeah. FANTiM, do you want to take us through the first part?
Yeah, let's talk about the first part of the movie. The first section, we're going to kind of talk about is before even the movie title gets displayed on the screen. It's the whole feudal Japan scene with Hanzo and Bihan. And, this is where we kind of get our first introduction into Mortal Kombat in a way. We see Bihan's family murdered. We see Hanzo's family murdered. We see Bihan kind of displaying his freezing powers and things like that. And he's not officially Sub-Zero in this scene. So I don't know, kind of tell me, what were your guys' opinions of this opening scene? Did you feel like this was going to be the Mortal Kombat movie that you had hoped for, or did kind of start setting up your expectations? Tabmok, why don't you start?
You remember the studio kind of released that scene like online, like here's like the first 7 minutes of the movie, so everybody knew what was going to happen even before they went to see it in theaters or HBO Max, wherever they saw it. But I thought it was a great scene. In fact, I remember Ed Boon and John Tobias. They were at Comic-Con a couple months ago, like over the summer, and they were saying that opening scene was the best part of the entire movie. And I think a lot of fans did feel that was like the best part, was right how it opened up. Yeah, I mean, I thought the Scorpion and Sub-Zero were kind of the first movie, like the 1995 film, was done right, but Scorpion and Sub-Zero sort of got done dirty by that film. And in here, they kind of made up for it. By Scorpion and Sub-Zero, their rivalry was portrayed right here. Except for maybe the fact that it shouldn't have happened 500 years ago. Whatever. They, kind of like the MK Legacy route as far as that's concerned. But I see where they were borrowing from. I mean, there was precedent there that they kind of used, and they made it work in the film. And it was a fun scene to watch for sure.
I think in the grand scheme of things, it's objectively one of the biggest highlights of the movie. It's objectively one of the best. It's just objectively one of the best parts of the movie. And I've been on record saying that, and I will always stick by that. We can get into nitpicks. I mean, Tabmok said it, like it probably shouldn't have taken place 500 years ago. I think they do that because of legacy. And they do that because I think they believe that they don't believe ninja clans can exist in the modern era, even though Daredevil did it and nobody had a problem with it. And I feel like if you really had a good writing mind, you can probably make it work. I really don't think people would care that much because it's Mortal Kombat, it's fantasy. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a really, really good scene. It's almost an entirely different movie, an entirely different kind of like atmosphere than what the rest of the film is. But overall, I will always say that's probably one of the best parts of the 100%.
Yanni, was there anything particular you liked or disliked about this scene?
I mean, I've also said, I think even in our review, that was the best scene of the movie for me. Like, it had the best fight, in my opinion. Without jumping the gun, I would compare it to the final fight. It was the best fight of the movie. It was the best scene, in my opinion, in the movie too. I liked the whole. Exactly as Tabmok just said. I felt the Scorpion Sub-Zero relationship in the original movie wasn't done justice, even though we all loved the movie. It has a special place in all of our hearts. It was a great movie, and it was, until somewhat recently, I would say, the defining video game movie of ever, really. But their relationship truly did get done properly in this scene specifically, at least. And I also do agree in the sense.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if it was a cough or a sneeze, but I feel like the same as you guys. It shouldn't have been in that age. I think that it was a very good point, actually, about how Daredevil did it properly, and they could have taken notes from that. What about you, FANTiM?
Well, so I did love the scene. I actually avoided spoilers on this, and I didn't watch it when it came out on every social media platform, and was like being bombarded all over my feed and stuff. I avoided it like the plague. Like, I didn't want to be near it. But then, as the scene went on, it was great. But then, there's that moment where you're like, okay, I see where this movie's going. And that's when, Raiden shows up. Or actually when Hanzo's dying and he's like trying to get back to his house, and, he's kind of bleeding out, and his birthmark or his tattoo or whatever lights up, and he disappears.
Arcana.
Yeah. So, we get the whole Arcana right out of the gate. And then, we see that Hanzo has a hidden baby that has never existed in Mortal Kombat lore ever in any form. And so that's when I was just kind of like, okay, you're adding something new that's it could be okay. Let's see where this goes. So that was my big kind of moment in the movie when that feeling started to happen for me. What about you guys? Did you react the same way, or did you like that addition?
No, I mean, I wasn't crazy about that addition, but I felt like the writers did what they had to do in order to somehow make Cole Young fit into the lore better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, basically it was their way of, readying Cole, and I think everybody knew who Cole was going in. So like, it was like, okay, well, there it is. That's how they're That's how they're going to explain it and stuff. Which I mean, we could talk. Cole is a whole can of worms. It doesn't really start. I don't think it really starts at the Japan scene. So,
no, but you know what? When you're bad for Christmas, you get Cole. So maybe all the Mortal Kombat fans are bad. I don't know.
You know, you got a point. I don't think you're entirely wrong.
So why don't we just go straight into Cole? I mean, that's the next part of the movie. So coming up in the next in the movie, you know, you get the whole intro card, which displays on big letters on the screen. Earthrealm is on the verge of catastrophe. Should it lose one more tournament, the savage realm of Outworld will invade. But an ancient prophecy foretells that a new group of champions will be united by the rise of Hanzo Hasashi's blood. And from there, we get Cole's introduction. And this is the whole UFC, like the whole cage fighting scene that we get to see. What did you guys think about this part of the movie?
I'll let Brusk go first this time. I took over first last time.
I don't know if I want to get into like a whole rant or like what I thought about like the whole like scene of the what I think about like about the scene. Like what do you guys want me to talk about? Like the scene specifically or the whole sequence or like Cole in general as the character?
You can go into your rant, but keep it narrowed down to the scene.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about the scene. Well, I feel like the scene, it speaks on the Cole character and the problems with him, but I think with the scene, I think it could have been it could have been an opportunity to explain why he's washed up. Why is he no longer good anymore as like a fighter or something like that? Why isn't he good at all if he ever was before? Like explain why. We're not really like given any sort of like explanation on that. We're supposed to like kind of care about him because he has a family, and I don't think the scene at all establishes anything to care about our protagonist. Like if anything, the scene just explains that he has a mark and he loses fights and he's not good. So
and it's a cool mark, and I wish I had one.
Yeah.
Did you want him to have like arthritis or something, and that's why he's washed out?
No, just like something like, hey, why are you what brought you from being good to being bad, or why are you bad, or something like, you know, it's just something to some sort of character development. It could have just been a lot better.
Yeah, they're just telling you that he got bad, and we don't really know 100% why that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tabmok, was there anything in particular you enjoyed about the scene? I mean, this is where we got to see his wife's introduction and his daughter, and you know, you could see the gym master and things like that.
I guess what I enjoyed about the scene the most was probably the the fact that he beat Eddie Tobias. I thought that was a fun little Easter egg.
That was, yeah.
That was fun.
Oh, and then also, you could see the Johnny Cage poster in the background. I was like telling my friends, hey, look, that's a Johnny Cage poster. That's a Johnny Cage poster right there. And then they came back to it and showed it in detail at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my two favorite things, was the little Easter eggs there.
You know, one thing that really bothered me about this scene was we got to see, you know, Cole's wife introduced. But at this point, there's no chemistry or anything. You're like, is this woman still with this guy? Like, she's just wrapping his hands, and then she's like, I'm leaving. I don't want to watch the fight. And you're like, is she like, does she care, or is she just like, I'm done. I came here what I was supposed to do. Is she his manager, or what's going on exactly?
You know what's funny is I always kind of saw that. I'm like, that seemed right to me, the way she was acting. That felt right, because it's like, I can't sit here and watch my husband get beat up. This is hard to watch. I know it makes money. I don't want him to settle down and become an accountant or something like that. I know he has to do this to support us, but it's just hard to watch. I could see that.
I don't know. For me, there was no chemistry. There was like
there wasn't. There wasn't. I mean, I know what Tabmok is saying, which is true. It's just that there was no chemistry. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
See, I know what Tabmok is saying as well, but I cannot help but deny that I felt exactly what FANTiM just said. I wasn't sure if they were together or not, judging by how this.
Well, let me ask you guys
out.
a question. If you were watching your girlfriend or your wife getting beaten up, wouldn't you just walk away from it?
I'd probably save her, Tabmok.
Yeah,
that was a trick question. You bet.
So we also, you know, in this whole fight scene too, you know, you're establishing Cole as the human punching bag, and he, you know, he's in the cage. He's actually winning for part of this fight. Like, he's got the guy in this armbar, and then all of a sudden the guy slips out, gets Cole in this crucifix, and Cole ends up like tapping out. Like it's like
that.
It's yeah. I mean, it's brutal in a way, but at the same time, you're like, you suck so bad. Like what just happened?
It goes back to what I said. Is like the scene establishes that this character sucks and can't win fights.
Yeah.
You get the feeling that he's not even trying anymore.
Yeah, that could be one way to look at it. And I like that. That's if I want to go back and look at it in a more positive aspect, I might think, maybe he's just not trying. That's what this is.
It kind of leads into really what later on becomes his arcana, kind of, in the sense that he becomes like he's treated like a punching bag, and they definitely play on the whole idea that he's not winning fights at this point in time, right? And from the majority of the movie, right? So then that sort of becomes his power, as we'll later discuss. But yeah, I mean, it was brutal, but at the same time, when I'm watching this and I'm seeing a UFC fight in a Mortal Kombat movie, I'm thinking, you can't win a UFC fight. How are you going to go out there and possibly get your head caved in? So I mean, that part was a bit concerning to me. But I think that the most, I don't know, I feel like many people don't focus on this part, and that's weird to me. The most annoying part of this wasn't even the UFC part. It was the fact that we got the intro card. We had this.
No, I was gonna bring that up, but go ahead. Yeah,
go
ahead.
Sure.
I think I know where you're going with. No. I want to. I just so we're on the same page. I want to see what you're gonna say first.
Okay, cool. So,
okay, go ahead.
I mean, we had this amazing opening scene, right? And it was cool. As we just said, it was many of our favorite scenes, really, from the movie. But it then leads into an intro card when this exactly what was established in the intro card could have been done in the intro scene if they'd just chosen a different time, a different point in time to go with. And then on top of that, we might not even have had to have it actually be in that setting. It could have gone with the original canon lore of it being in the Temple of the Elements, right? Where Sub-Zero and Scorpion actually both fight, where Bihan and Scorpion actually fight, rather. So why not just go with that? And really, if you are going to change it up just for the sake of it, then at least put the intro card in the actual scene and set it at the right point in time, instead of just giving us this little quick summary of what's happening and then showing us this totally, in my opinion, uninteresting scene to do with UFC.
Well, what I was going to say is like completely like different. I was just going to say, like, anytime you have like some sort of like title card that it has like not huge, but like multiple sentences explaining exactly like what's going on in the movie or what the plot of the movie is. I feel like that's a little like cheap and weak storytelling. Is it when you kind of like explain exactly what the movie's about in text, like in the beginning of the movie? Like, okay, you got to show us that. Like,
it goes back to an old rule of storytelling. It's show, not tell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But then what about Star Wars?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a tradition at this point.
Yeah.
So like,
somehow they got away with it.
They get away with it. Yeah.
If everyone does that, then you're just copying off Star Wars.
Yeah.
So what if Mortal Kombat does this for the next movie too, but with just like a little quick thing?
Well, if it's just like one or two sentences, it's fine. Like if it's like one or two sentences, it's fine. But like Star Wars is a tradition. It's a unique case, especially considering like it came from a point in time where that sort of was. I don't think it was a norm, but like it was like, it was definitely like one of the first blockbusters it was one of the first blockbusters in film history. So like, it kind of is like it has put its footprint, or it's put its foot down on that kind of like territory. It's like kind of like
made their mark,
like
and that's sort of their thing.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain it, but I think
they claimed it.
it.
No, they claimed that territory as their own. Nobody else can really do it without being a Star Wars ripoff now.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I try not to compare this movie too much to the 90s Mortal Kombat movie because that's its own thing. But at the same time, I mean, this is one of those things that the 90s movie managed to do. It told you the entire thing about what's going on. There's a tournament, like, and they didn't have to do it with any, text overlay. It was
no. The closest we got to a text overlay in the 1995 film was "Brother Dead, Return Home."
Yeah. All right. So the next part of the movie, it jumps over to Outworld, and this is your first view of what Outworld looks like. You get the whole desert scene, and you get Shang Tsung kind of being introduced. He's talking to Sub-Zero in that big, like, I don't know what you want to call it, a big cliff in the sky.
Big, I don't even know what the fuck that is.
So Shang Tsung lives on a cliff, and we get a little bit of
Does he live there or does he just work there?
See, that's the question.
He works on a cliff. Yeah.
If he did work there, it'd be kind of cool. Maybe he like oversees the people mining cobalt down below or something like that. Like that could be a cool little thing.
There we go. Reference to the cobalt mines.
Right. So they expand on the.
You're going to ask us about what we thought about the setting of Outworld and like how we thought that it looked?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually thought that it kind of reminded me of MK Deception's Conquest mode. When you go to Outworld, it looks very purple, right? Shujinko's running around kind of on a bridge on a cliff that looks like it's hovering above a bottomless chasm there. I kind of thought it gave me MK Deception vibes. I didn't mind it. I thought this movie actually represented Outworld better than some of the current games do. Because now when I look at Outworld, it looks like a developing country. It doesn't look special or unique. It just looks like another place that you could go to. It might as well be on Earth. But this movie, they made sure that Outworld didn't look like Earth. And I thought they did it better than some of the current games even do.
I would half agree that I'm glad that Outworld doesn't look like the Middle East anymore. But it also like is missing the purple, like the purple sort of color. The sky, the purple sky, and all that kind of stuff. It's missing that, and I feel and it's
a little purple
in some sense, but I don't think in that one. In a little bit, but I don't think in the first scene it was. At least I might not be remembering it correctly, but I just wish it was as purple as Deception was. But it doesn't really sell me that much on Outworld. I guess I guess when we're talking about the scene, I feel I think it's super misplaced in terms of like editing, because we go from feudal Japan to like modern day like Philly or like wherever it was is Chicago. Like I think that like a fight cage in Chicago, and then we're going to Outworld. I'm just like, okay, whoa, what's going on here? like it's I think it's misplaced in terms of editing. But like that's not even the scene where we first see Shang Tsung, but that's not even the scene where we are properly introduced to Shang Tsung. Like, like we don't even know who that character is. Like I think he appears 4 times on screen until like we're properly introduced. Like we properly actually know who the character is and stuff like that. So, I think that is that also the scene where like Sub-Zero says, "I'm no longer Bihan, I'm Sub-Zero."
That's right.
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like in this movie, like what does that even mean? Like has Shang Tsung been mischaracterizing? Misnaming him this entire time for like 500 years. Like what the fuck? And just up until now,
it's such a standard thing that you see, especially in comic book movies, where they'll be like, there is no Norman Osborn, there's only the Green Goblin. It's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, but you're right, because we didn't really get a good sense of who he was before and how is that different from who he is now. He still seems like essentially he still has ice powers, and he's still a member of the Lin Kuei, and he's just
wearing a mask now, and armor.
Yeah.
That's
so I'm just like, what? I'm just like, wait, like what? Why did you become Sub-Zero? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I just don't know. Like, we as Mortal Kombat fans, we might know what it is. Like, maybe he like. Then he became the Cryomancer. So I don't even know. You know what? I should take that back. As a Mortal Kombat fan, I don't even know what that means anymore.
I'll tell you, bro. As soon as I tell you what I think you're going to agree with this. Okay. It means that his dad just died.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
His dad was Sub-Zero.
His dad was Sub-Zero, that's true.
I don't go by Bihan. Yeah. I got to take on the mantle of Sub-Zero now.
So his dad just died like 2 minutes before minutes before that scene happened.
Or maybe it's a combination. It could just be, obviously, he's just attained the title of Sub-Zero, but it could also be that Shang Tsung has not actually met with Sub-Zero for many years up until that point.
Yeah, right.
I wish the movie told us that or something like that. Because I have no idea.
Interpretation.
Yeah.
Or it's just like, hey, you know what? I have ice powers. Maybe I should change my name. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody knows what Bihan means. But if I say Sub-Zero, everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's my English name. So as far as like tonal shifts, going back and forth, this scene is like super small, and it basically gives us just enough information to know Shang Tsung works on this cliff and Bihan is Sub-Zero. Like that's all it does, and then we switch right back to the locker room.
No, we do kind of have a little bit of a dialogue where Shang Tsung says there will be no tournament because there's no opposition to fight, right?
Oh yeah, so it's kind of setting some things up, and
exactly,
that's something that a lot of people hate about this movie is like, this isn't the tournament, like this isn't Mortal Kombat, and that kind of establishes that this is pre Mortal Kombat, and like that's the only real solid piece we have for that this is a not Mortal Kombat the tournament, but this is before Mortal Kombat's tournament. I'm curious, Brusk, what do you think about that this isn't the Mortal Kombat tournament?
I think it's totally fine to have I think it's totally fine to have a Mortal Kombat movie or story that isn't about the tournament, because there are plenty of games out there that are called Mortal Kombat that don't take place in a tournament. However, when you call it Mortal Kombat, it's implying that it's about the Mortal Kombat tournament. The games that don't have tournaments are like Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Mortal Kombat Deception, Armageddon, even like Mortal Kombat 3. Like at least like the 3, the Armageddon, the Deadly Alliance, the subtitles imply that it's something more than Mortal Kombat. It's a little bit different this time. When you title it Mortal Kombat, you're implying that it's about the tournament.
But most of the games don't actually have tournaments in them, if you think about it. It's not just even 4 technically wasn't truly a tournament, right?
That's what I was saying. Like it's totally fine to have a game, like totally fine to have a story that's not about the tournament, but like the title is Mortal Kombat. Like like the games that don't have a tournament have like a subtitle, like or even like a 3 or 2
talking about which games are tournaments and which games are not tournaments. I think at the end of the day, for this movie, it probably should have been a tournament.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. I mean, like you're calling it. The name of the movie is named after the game that has a tournament.
It's Mortal Kombat with no additional comment. That implies this is the tournament. In fact, look at what's. I'm going to jump ahead to the next scene, if I may. Sonya has that. I'll call it the wall of weird. Sonya has that wall of weird, and she has that thing where it says, "Look, this is a tournament. This is the tournament that I'm investigating." Right? This is what it's all about. Shang Tsung is talking about. We've won 9 tournaments in a row. He's talking about how we've been the tournament. We need to beat Earthrealm in this tournament. Like that's really what the conflict is all about. Raiden is there, and he and Shang Tsung are arguing over what the rules say. The rules of the tournament. So to have it not actually be the tournament, despite all of that's what this is building up to. It is a little jarring.
Well, because like throughout like what you were saying, throughout the entire movie, they're talking about the tournament's ready. We got to prepare for the tournament, guys. The tournament's coming, and it never happens. Like what
Cole Young actually said, we're going to take the tournament to them. So I thought that actually was the tournament right then and there, because all the fights afterwards, this is the tournament that he said it. He called it. If you call it, this is a tournament. That's it. That counts.
So yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree that this is definitely the biggest. Like one of the biggest problems of the story is whether or not we're in a tournament or not at this point.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, that last one, Tabmok. It's not the tournament, it's supposed to be the prequel, but they legit say, let's take this. Yeah, you're right.
To me, everything that's happened after that counts as the tournament.
But then at the end, and I'm not trying to jump all the way to the end already, but Raiden and Shang Tsung have some sort of dialogue. and Shang Tsung's basically like, I'll find more people for the tournament. So he basically sends his best fighters to try to kill everybody, and then they all die. And then he's like, I'll find somebody else. It'll be just as good.
He sends his defending champion in danger, Goro, to fight before the tournament begins. Why would you do that?
Right.
We'll talk about. We're getting too far ahead. We're getting too far ahead. So like we should probably.
Why don't you probably all the way?
But the whole movie, when you're seeing the buildup, you're not aware that this is a prequel movie. When it seems like they're building up to the actual tournament. So everything that happens up to now, it seems fine. We're going to get to the tournament. I was waiting for them to go on. I was waiting for a handful of people to get on a leaky boat and save the world.
So, before Cole ends up going after Sonya, he gets to officially meet Jax in the locker room. And this is kind of, we see Jack's introduction. They get to talk about the tattoos and stuff like that, or the
This is
birthmarks.
actually my favorite scene. I forget the first one. This is my favorite scene in the movie.
So, Jack shows up. This is the whole Eddie Tobias thing. And Jack is like, hey, nice tattoo. And Yanni, do you want to talk about that scene before I go on further?
He was born with it. What? It's a birthmark.
Not a birthmark.
So, okay, but in the movie, that was from the trailer,
In the movie, they flip it. It's the other way.
They flip it. Yeah, they flip it in the movie. Yeah.
It was still like, really?
You can't fix that. It's funny either way.
So this is where we see, Cole and his daughter go out to eat. The Sub-Zero shows up, starts freezing everything, and then making hail drop from the sky, or ice, or I don't know, or he's lifting it up off the ground after he made it snow. He's doing a lot of things. Sub-Zero's super powerful, and this whole scene ends with Jack's going in the warehouse after Sub-Zero, sending Cole away and getting his arms ripped off. So, what were you? Did you guys feel like you were in a Mortal Kombat movie at this point, or was this something else entirely?
Who's going first?
I'll go first on this one, I guess. Yeah. With Jax involved, of course it's a Mortal Kombat thing. I mean, honestly, I thought he was getting ready to pound Cole Young's face in. I thought he was just going to attack first and ask questions later, because he was following up on an investigation. I mean, he wanted to know what the hell was going on. Somebody attacked his squadron, and then they had this dragon tattoo, and now this guy's got it. You know what? This guy could be a threat. This has got to be someone he's got to take out. I really think that Jax was halfway thinking he's going to have to kill this guy.
Yeah, for me, I think the whole the way that Bihan was in this movie, I real quick, I really really like the scene where he sort of disappears in the mist of ice or something like that. That was that was super cool. I really like how he was depicted as some sort of stalking kind of slasher, brooding huge figure and all that kind of stuff. I really really like that. I don't think I felt like I was in a Mortal Kombat movie, but I definitely it definitely was a highlight of Sub-Zero, because I really like Sub-Zero. That I also did like Sub-Zero. Yeah, I thought it was. So just that's my biggest takeaway, is just the slasher kind of feel when he was disappearing into that was pretty.
It really felt like a Jason type, or even a
little bit.
Type.
Yeah,
just,
a little
just
bit.
a relentless killing machine. Yeah,
I like that. I like that when you. I like that when you put that kind of characterization on Bihan, it's 100% accurate to his character. So I think that's
for me. This is probably one of my favorite Sub-Zero scenes, because this is the whole warehouse scene that the trailer was centered around in a way. And that whole part where Jack shows up with guns and goes after Sub-Zero, and Sub-Zero just freezes that gun or the bullet in midair and everything. I was just like, this is awesome. And I was super excited for what was going to come next from the movie, just because of the scene alone. Jack's getting his arm shattered, it's a great fatality type of thing, incorporating that into the movie. But at the same time, I was like, is this the tournament now? I mean, was this their battle? Is this Mortal Kombat? Or I was still confused. I didn't capture that little tiny quote from Shang Tsung saying, we're going to kill everybody before we get to a tournament. So I was just kind of still trying to figure out what was happening at this point. And so I loved the scene as a part of a movie, but it wasn't Mortal Kombat to me completely. I wasn't sure if it was Mortal Kombat. Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. I mean, that was the exact same I had. So, yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff that had happened in the backstory, which really leaves a lot of unanswered questions. Them talking about how they went into Brazil and how somebody attacked their entire unit in seconds. And it's well, what was their mission? What were they after? All this backstory, I really want them to explore it further.
It's just that, also they're part, Sonya and Jax are part of special forces. Why didn't they call special forces to help out Jax or something like that? Or they kind of left them to die, and he had the Shaolin monks had to bring up what about the other people that are in their unit or something like that? Are they actively involved in the military right now, or are they
Are they semi-retired?
Yeah,
what is that?
like I don't know, like exactly, like why would the Shaolin monk pick up Jax? That's just, I don't know. It's a little off to me.
That was pretty out of place.
I mean, the actual fight scene itself was very Mortal Kombat, because if you think back on all the different stages we've had in Mortal Kombat, you've got subway scene, you've got the pit, you've got the Deadpool. It's all over the place, really, right? And so I could see in a Mortal Kombat game just this sort of scene being set for a fight. That part did truly feel Mortal Kombat to me, and I did also really like the little, what was it, the Sub-Zero finisher Easter egg in the background? Was that it?
Yeah.
The forward down, forward high punch. I think it was.
High punch. Yep.
Yeah.
That was where it was.
That was really cool. I like that little Easter egg too, especially leading up to the arms being shattered and everything. It did feel Mortal Kombat to me, but the problem was at the same time, as you said, it was also very Special Forces-y, but that was actually something I kind of liked for once, I'm saying this, because they showed that the guns were useless immediately. So I've always been more about the mysticism rather than the actual
I did
guns.
like that. I did like freezing the gun and then having the, like the gunfire. There's a term. Yeah, but there's a term of like the little spark that comes out of the whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. Like I did like that freezing kind of effect. It looked really nice, especially considering the budget.
There was a missed opportunity. And it's the same problem in the 1995 film. If someone's going to point a gun at Sub-Zero, they should yell freeze right before he freezes it. Maybe in the next movie. I don't know.
This whole part of the movie too, this is the first time we get to see that there's any sort of relationship between Cole and his wife. And still, I'm presuming that it's his current wife. We've talked about on our previous episodes when we went over like the original scripts that it was supposed to be his ex-wife. And I feel like that memo, like that clarification never made it into the current version of the movie. Cause they kind of like hold hands a little bit or kiss or something, but there's still, no chemistry. So I don't really care about her. Like there's one part later in the movie where I'm like, she's going to die. And that's fine. And that's a horrible thing to feel about your main character's wife,
Yeah. I mean, I don't have much to add. Like, it's just, there's no chemistry. I don't really feel anything. I don't know. It's just off. I will say that some people did point out that like, and not the wife, but the Cole's daughter looks like it could be his sister. Like it looks a little too close in age. I didn't think about that when I first saw it, but when somebody pointed it out, I was like, oh, you know what? You're right. That's a little weird. I don't know. It just seems off to me. Like the whole family chemistry just doesn't mesh well. And it
at least she's not like, what was it? A little hacker and stuff. From the original script.
Oh, was it? Yeah, that was one of the original script, right? She was supposed to be like a hacker. So you were like, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But you did ask about the like Sonya and Jax being part of the Special Forces and such, or whether or not they were actually a broken sort of part off of the faction itself. And that question does make a lot of sense, because we then see Cole going towards Sonya's hideout, and she's like in this trailer, which is her home.
It's not a U.S. Special Forces base.
Yeah.
Like, why are you there? Like even if you were in the military and you just got off the military, you're not automatically broke and can't afford, like housing or anything like that. You're
Why
at least
on a military base with real like MPs and stuff like that guarding it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like even if you were off the military and you would at least be with like your parents or something like that. I don't think you would be straight up homeless living in a trailer like that.
With Kano handcuffed to a chair.
Yeah, it's so weird to think about. Like, why are you there?
I never thought about it like that. So like, I always thought she was, kind of fringe, like maybe they were prior military, but now that I think about it more, it's like, you guys, if you're prior military and you're kind of operating on your own, you just snatch some guy and handcuffed him to a chair. Like, what is this?
Like, if this was part of your mission, if you're still okay, well, like let's just say this is part of your mission. Like, okay, well then, if this is part of your mission, like it still makes you question, like, are you part of the military right now? Are you actively involved or not? Like, are you just
don't
doing
take
this
him
on
to your
own?
house?
Yeah, like, are you just doing this on your own? Like,
Well, maybe they were just going to beat him up and they turn him in for the reward money once they made sure he was like down and out, you know?
Maybe. But the guy knows where you live. Like, what is happening?
That's ridiculous.
yeah.
You know, we also get another character showing up at this moment, and you know, it wouldn't be so bad to me if Reptile's name hadn't been dropped right before he shows up. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, we get Reptile from Mortal Kombat 1, and he's our first main death in the movie, and which, you know, could mean that we're never going to see him again in another Mortal Kombat movie.
Probably not.
I
No.
doubt that. I doubt that. I mean, they specifically went so far as to name him, which I feel like Sizoff, not even Reptile, Sizoff. Like, that was a bit unnecessary, but a cool little sort of Easter egg, let's just say. Now, with regards to the whole, we might not see him again, it's Mortal Kombat. We have this conversation every time. Like, they even, I mean, now we're jumping ahead big time, but we got hints as to a sort of resurrection kind of process towards the end.
Yeah, but then I think in a film sense, and I think like when you're talking about movies and TV shows and stuff like that, you would want the deaths to matter. When you're in a game, you can get away with it because, like, okay, well, if someone dies in MK1, and when you come to Mortal Kombat 11, you can't like keep holding on to the whole like, oh, that character died in MK1. That character died all the way in 1990. Like, shut up! I want to play the character. Right? This is like me in my video games. All right, this isn't like some sort of like thing. So like, I feel like in a movie sense, in a storytelling sense, I feel like you would want the deaths to matter. Now, if they were to come out and say like, oh, this is like a different like Zaterran. This Zaterran is more human like, and it's like a different kind of breed, and it's not Scythe. Okay, that's fine. Like,
by the way, they're all named Sizoff.
Yeah. Like, okay, yeah, okay,
it's
sure.
It's not actually
sure.
Sizoff. It's his friend, and he just got confused between them because they look the same.
Yeah.
So saying all Zaterrans look the same.
Shang is just speciest at this point.
Something like that.
You know, it's kind of like the whole Marvel thing. Like, you know, Marvel comics, they've been killing people off for years, and they bring them back every couple of years. Like, that's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. But with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they made it a point to not bring back any characters that have died. And it's because, like, as Bruss said, it establishes, like, it means something when somebody dies. Yeah.
Mm. And even going back to the 1995 film, how many of those characters returned for the 1997 Annihilation sequel? None. They didn't bring people back. It's like you're saying, Bruss, deaths have to mean something. Scorpion, but
Reptile.
See, right. They bring back 3 random raptors.
Yeah.
They brought back Scorpion, which, Scorpion makes sense, and having different members of reptile species makes sense. But other than that, you know, Sub-Zero is the younger brother this time. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't resurrect anybody.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, if they wanted to bring Reptile back in MK2, like, okay, well, actually, this time Reptile is actually a ninja. This time, this wasn't like the Reptile you saw in the last one. This is like another Zaterran. This Zaterran is a different kind of like different kind of breed of Zaterrans. This one is a little bit more human. La 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 la. I think if you do that, that's fine. Like, I don't care about that. But if you like, say,
not even bring back Reptile at all. Maybe if they're going to bring back any other Saurians, it would be Chameleon.
Yeah, that
would be cool.
Yeah. They probably.
I would be totally down for that. Now,
we've never gotten a live adaptation of Chameleon.
We've never gotten much of Chameleon.
Like a lizard version of Chameleon. Like, it's literally the same exact like way that Reptile looked, but you just call it Chameleon. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
so
go ahead. Sorry, but on the whole death sort of thing for Mortal Kombat, one thing that is curious to me is that we are talking about bringing back characters, and I definitely agree with you, Brusk, in the sense that we want there to be consequence to the actual deaths in the movie. But we have Hanzo this entire time sort of reaching out to Cole through these flashbacks and such, and this makes me wonder about the Netherrealm, because where is Hanzo? Is he in the Netherrealm? Is he in Cole's mind? What's going on exactly? Because
I think Raiden. No, I think Raiden says it. I think he says that he's.
Does he say that? Okay, then I've totally.
Yeah, I do think
he says it's the furthest reaches of hell. So
okay,
yeah.
I guess the further in hell you are, the more you can communicate to people that are alive or
I
something.
thought that the connection would be worse, actually.
It's like Dante's Inferno. There's multiple levels to hell.
Yeah. And the further out you go, the better your cell phone reception is. So
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Good.
So, one thing I did like about this scene, the whole Sonya stuff, is that they're sprinkling a little bit more. Okay, well, before I say this, I hate the Arcana. Like, I hate that that's how this movie's centered around Arcana.
Yeah.
But they sprinkle in a little bit more about the tattoo thing. Like, if you kill somebody with a tattoo, you can you absorb, or you get a tattoo too. Like, it's a transference of power or whatever. What did you guys think about, like, let's talk about tattoos for a second. What do you think about the birthmarks?
Hey, does anybody in this chat have a tattoo?
I do.
Yeah.
I do not.
I don't either. All right, so we got two tattoos and two no tattoos.
I mean, kill me and you can have one.
That's true. Yeah, but what's your superpower, though? I got to think about it. Hey, so I actually like the Arcana storyline. I wouldn't want to see it in the games. I don't want the games to make any references to it. I don't want to see them even like hinting at it. But I thought this, they did the tattoo thing in Annihilation and it sucked. But I thought actually this time around it was okay. I didn't mind it. It was good in the context of this movie. I don't want to see it in any of the games or anything else. But here it was good.
I think it's a little weird. It's like, you know what? It's pretty good, but everything else, no, I hate it. I do get the fuck out of here. Nope. But this one, I like it. I think it's a little weird. I'm not trying to like dog on you or anything. I just find it funny. But like I hate it. I think it's like a poor way to kind of like explain how these characters can use the powers that they have. I feel like it's like, hey, this is why a character can throw his hat. This is why a character can have eyes. This is why a character can do the fireball. I'm just like, we don't need this stupid tattoo to explain like these characters using these powers, Audiences don't care that Aquaman can speak underwater. Audiences don't care that a raccoon can talk. Audiences don't care that like Captain America's shield doesn't obey the laws of physics. I don't think audiences would care if you were to explain, hey, the Shaolin monks train people from birth to manipulate the chi to do some sort of chi power. I don't think anyone's gonna care if that's your explanation. Having the stupid tattoo of like, oh, like I'm the chosen one, you're the chosen one, like some sort of like annihilation thing. It's I think it's cringe. I think I hate it. I never want to see it again in any form. Even in the next movie, I hope they literally just retcon it. I don't care. I know how everybody feels about retcons and inconsistencies. I don't care if they literally just say like, nope, retcon. The Arcanas never existed. I don't care. The only thing I'd want them to retcon in the second film is just Cole Young. Let's just pretend he never happened. Yeah, thank God. I hope so.
Yanni, what did you think?
Lewis fan.
Well, it's kind of a weird one for me because I hate Arcana. I absolutely hate Arcana. I'm totally with Brusk on this. I think it was completely unnecessary. Exactly as Brusk just said, they could have just said they manipulate their chi, or it's a part of their powers from where they're from, etc., etc. Right? I mean, are you going to say now that everybody from Outworld needs to have a mark to have a power, when in reality we've always seen that there are lots of warriors coming from Outworld, Denia, the Nether Realm, from Earth Realm, and they all have their own abilities just purely because of how they train, who they are, etc., etc. Right? The cryomancers, etc. It's part of their species, technically. So that was completely unnecessary. Now, the tattoo part, I think I remember saying in a Takadan Bite Size with you, FANTiM, that I was making a joke about how it's like I can imagine the boardroom meeting going like, remember that thing that everybody hated from the second movie of the tattoo? Let's put it in this movie. It's so stupid. But
I said the same thing. I said the same thing.
It's so stupid, right? But then now that I'm thinking about it, the tattoo and the Arcana could have been done in a way where the tattoos were not linked at all to Arcana. The tattoos could have just been your ticket into the Mortal Kombat tournament as a Mortal Kombat official fighter, but not linked to the Arcana. You can all have your abilities. Call it Arcana. I really don't give a damn. Like call it whatever you want it. Just call it your abilities, whatever. But have the tattoo be something that you get if you are officially invited or linked to the Mortal Kombat tournament. And sure, make it that if you kill somebody, you get their marking. Fair enough. That was actually a cool idea. Just don't link it to the Arcana, because otherwise you have inconsistencies where everybody's training the entire course of the movie in what is completely unnecessary. And then other people just getting their Arcana like that, who we'll talk about later.
I will say this, even though I'm the only supporter of the Arcana in this group, I really didn't like the way it was used for some of the characters like Jax and Kano. I really thought that Jax and Kano had tech. They didn't need the Arcana. They, you know what I'm saying?
We didn't. Yeah, we like. Okay, like if you were if Kano wasn't gonna have the metal eye and his Arcana it was to shoot a laser out of his eye, why does he not just shoot it out of both of his eyes? Like it's weird. It's like okay, it's like if somebody's Arcana was throwing fireballs, but you can only throw fireballs through your feet. Why not through your hands? like why not through your hands? Like, why is it just like your feet? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just,
like those posts where choose your superpower.
The Arcana works better for those mystical powers like Liu Kang and Kung Lao or whatever. But like you said, they could have done it without the Arcana. I was okay with it for them. I really didn't like the way it worked to interact with tech. Like when Jax found his Arcana, then his crappy metal arms became good metal arms. Okay.
Yeah. When it could have been
that was hard to. That was a little bit harder to digest.
Yeah. I mean, what about Kano? Like instead of giving him the laser eyes as Arcana, give him the cannonballs. That makes sense, at least, kinda. You know, like a weird sort of.
Oh yeah.
Like
that would have worked. That would have worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
if they did want to do the cannonball, then yeah, that would have worked.
Why is it his laser eye the one is the eye that he got scratched? You know, like Bruss said, why couldn't it have been both eyes? Like, did it have to be the one eye that got scratched by Reptile? Like,
it's because remember that's where his eye is. That's what like that. That's what Kano looks like. Yeah, it's just
You know what? That's one of those things where I believe one of the guys working on the movie actually answered stuff on social media and was saying that the Arcana kind of will help you like make up for a weakness if you have one. So when he got scratched in the eye, that would maybe be why the Arcana went there and said, okay, well now we're gonna make this eye stronger. You know,
you're right. I do remember hearing something about that.
For hats, actually, I remember that.
That would probably explain why Kano could only shoot out of one eye. See, they covered it.
Sorry, I could not resist.
He had a receding hairline, and so they gave him the power of hats.
No, but I do remember hearing exactly that time. I don't mean to make fun of what you're saying. What you're saying is completely correct. I'm just thinking about Kung Lao being weak to hats right now. But
no, my hat's off to you for thinking of that.
Oh, thank you.
My whole thing about the special powers, like to me, Mortal Kombat, you know, it was just a tournament that the best fighters in Earthrealm would end up having to go to defend Earthrealm. And then, you know, if you got a special power or something, you know, came out of it, so be it. But like Liu Kang in the first Mortal Kombat game had nothing. Like his fatality was a spinning kick. And, you know, I think even back when we first played Mortal Kombat, the fireballs, some people would say like he was throwing sand or something because like he just seemed like a normal person.
It just seemed like a bare bones kind of underdog kind of character. Yeah.
Right. Like, and I, you know, if they develop a power on Shang Tsung's island or something, that would have made sense to me. Like
that would be MK Legacy explanation.
Yeah. And that would have been fine. Like I liked how that worked. But, you know, saying that you're born with the power and you're born with a tattoo and that's the only way you can compete in Mortal Kombat, it kind of eliminates
it seems
that.
Gatekeeping.
Well, Liu Kang killed a guy. Liu Kang actually killed a guy to get his.
Oh, in the 2021 movie?
Yeah, the movie, yeah. He had to kill a guy he had to kill a child trafficker.
Yep.
And like, why is a child trafficker have the Arcana? Does that mean he's worthy of fighting in a tournament to defend Earth?
Maybe his parents were.
Why am I thinking about child trafficking in Mortal Kombat? Like, why am I spending so much time on this thought? Like, why?
I don't remember this at all. Was that really part of this plot?
Yeah, that really was.
Yeah.
Wow. He was telling Cole about how he got his marking.
Yeah, your face is just like, oh my god.
What kind of movies am I watching these days?
I mean, if they make a Shaolin Monks spin-off of this movie, are they going to actually show the child traffickers now? Like, what kind of area are we getting into? What does Liu Kang do when he finds out? Does that what makes him pissed off and turn into a dragon finally?
Oh man.
Oh, wow.
Liu Kang was an orphan. Was he one of the children? Was he at risk here? And that's when he developed his arcana and like finally decided to kick that guy's ass. I'm with Brusk. I don't want to think about it anymore.
Mortal Kombat 1, like Liu Kang was like the pure Shaolin fighter. And then Mortal Kombat 2, you know, his whole temple was slaughtered, and you know they kind of took aspects out of what Acclaim was going to do with their Mortal Kombat. What was it, Nitro or whatever? Yep. And so you know they made Liu Kang a little bit more brutal, and that's when his dragon fatality shows up and stuff like that. But like, why do you have to make Liu Kang so edgy in every live action Mortal Kombat?
I know. I think it's because it's because I think they think a character being like a very good, kind-hearted, you know, hero, like a Captain America-esque kind of like character is boring, and we need to make him dark and edgy so he can be complicated and cool. Like, I'm just like, dude, there's
Superman.
I'm just like, there are so many ways to like make it like interesting. Like Luke Skywalker is that way, you know, like even Captain America, I mean, is that way, interesting. Even though he kind of stays still as a character throughout the entire MCU, there are so many ways to make it work. It's just, you don't need to make Liu Kang an edgelord. It's just, you know. Now Liu Kang isn't an edgelord in this movie, to be clear, but like we don't need to give him like, we don't need to have like some sort of like edge to his character to start off with. The edge in his character in MK2 is a result of like his friends and everybody. His friends and you know being slaughtered and stuff, and that's what like kind of like questions him, questions like his standards, like, okay, well, do I keep not killing, or do I like, because this is gonna, like, if I stay this way, bad stuff is gonna happen. So do I like take it to the next level and kind of to prevent this from happening?
It made a lot of sense in MK2. There was no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, like, yeah. Well, I mean, like, I feel like he was still good in MK2. It's just that he had that urge, he had that sort of conflict in him, but that was a result of something else, something happening to him.
Yeah, it was. He
starts off as like he starts off as a pure-hearted Shaolin monk.
You know, it reminds me of what Zack Snyder said he was going to do to Batman and Superman back when he was directing Watchmen. He was like, you know, if I ever got a chance to direct Batman would go to jail, and Batman would have things happen to him in jail that happens to people in jail.
I don't know if we're supposed to say that, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
and then everybody's like, why would you do that? And then, you know, Warner Brothers ended up giving Zack Snyder Batman and Superman. So, I mean, it's the same kind of thing. It's just, why go down that route? Why do that? Yeah. Anyways,
just for the sake of it. Yeah.
So I take it you don't want Snyder to direct the next Mortal Kombat film.
Oh, no.
I would like him to be a cinematographer, because his cinematography is really good.
Yeah.
If he's a cinematographer, I'm okay.
How about James Gunn?
James Gunn would be perfect. Oh my God, please do it. Please. I will literally give all my legs and arms to have James Gunn direct a Mortal Kombat movie. I would give all my legs and arms to do that.
I think he could manage it very well, actually, because we've only seen him, I guess, lately see like more the comedy side of things. But at the same time, he at least tries to be accurate. And if it's not going to be accurate, he does it in his own way, which sort of has that accuracy to it, if that makes sense. You know? Yeah,
it works for the story, and it kind of like he does everything he can to make sure the characters are exactly like how they are in the comics. And if they're like really like, if there's nothing to them, he'll make his own stuff to make it work with the story.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of feel like James Gunn was sprinkling a little too much comedy. I love James. I love everything he's doing, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't see it for Mortal Kombat, if that makes sense.
Oh, well, I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want like that much comedy in Mortal Kombat. But if he can put all of his comedy into like Johnny Cage and maybe Jax or something like that, okay, then I'm fine with that.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So after all of this, you know, we're kind of at the Sky Temple, or sorry, Raiden's temple, and you know, we're kind of getting a little bit of background. We're getting some fighting montages, things like that. We get to see Liu Kang and Kung Lao. What did you guys feel about this setting in the movie, like Raiden's temple and everything that kind of happened here? Like this seemed to me like a majority of the movie.
It was a little strange of a temple, wasn't it? Like, didn't quite look the way I would picture the Raiden's temple.
Yeah, we've already sort of had Raiden's temple be like a very like Eastern, like an Eastern Chinese temple, or something like that. Something that
and
looks
very
similar
above
to that.
ground.
Yeah, very above. It would be a sky temple. Yeah, and I really don't like how the majority of the movie takes place here because it's this boring, dry, brown setting. Like I hate to compare. I don't want to get too much into comparing this to the '95 movie, but the '95 movie had so many different settings, so many different colors, so much variety in setting, and like for the majority of the Mortal Kombat of this movie, it takes place in this really brown, and most of the things that happen are taking place in this brown, boring kind of dry setting. I think that's not Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat isn't known to be that way. Mortal Kombat X did it and everybody hated it. That's why they switched it up in the last game, in Mortal Kombat 11, where like all the stages are super bright and colorful and really, really nice and stuff like that. There's variety. So yeah, I don't like to be reminded of like just of dry settings and brown settings.
You can tell that the props department really put a lot into trying to make it not just a brown setting.
Yeah, they tried.
Yeah, they tried hard. And going back to the 95 movie again, like that whole thing was the location scouting. They ended up doing Thailand. And Thailand, I mean, as we saw through that movie, they would just like stop on the side of the road and be like, oh, there's a big field of trees. Let's go shoot a scene there. And they were just driving around making stuff happen, where this movie, everything was filmed in Australia. Like, if you get out of the side of the cities in Australia, guess what you got? Just brown everywhere.
Brown stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good choice if you want to make a Mortal Kombat movie that takes place that mainly is known to have Eastern type settings.
Yeah.
Now, they did have some cool scenes here, though, in this setting. They did have my favorite one was where Liu Kang and Kano were practicing, and he did the foot sweep.
That was cute. That was cute. Yeah.
All right. Let's see you try that one again. Bam.
That was a cute. Yeah, that was a cute moment. Yeah.
It was awesome because that was literally, well, at least how I took it, making fun of how people have played Mortal Kombat for years. That's legit what we were doing. I still remember back in the old days, just sweep. And then when they're expecting me to sweep, I'd uppercut. You know what I mean? Like just switch it up every so often. And that was hilarious in my opinion.
Some people have had a problem with saying like nobody really does that anymore. It's kind of outdated. But I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's have fun for a little bit. I think that was cute. I didn't have a problem with that. Me, the ultimate naysayer of this movie, I was like, okay, I can say that's fun. I like that.
That was like those tongue-in-cheek moments, like the the fatality in the background in the Jack's warehouse scene, like things like that are endearing to this movie. If anything, like for Mortal Kombat fans, we're like, we can look around and recognize stuff. Like we're like, oh, there's Katana's fan. Like that's cool. I wonder if she's around here somewhere. Things like that,
I'll be honest, having Katana not in the movie, but having Melina in the movie was kind of a weird choice.
And just having her fan in Raiden's Sky Temple, I'm like, why? Why is her fan in the Sky Temple? It's like if Raiden's hat was, it's like if like, I don't know. It's like if I'm trying to think, like it's like if Shao Kahn's helmet was in Raiden's Sky Temple and like,
or what? If it was on Shang Tsung's cliff throne,
something like that. Yeah, like does he wear the helmet like Reiko does or something? The Shang Tsung does.
Yeah, right. Like some of the stuff there had a good reason to be there. Like Shinnok's amulet, that made sense. Raiden was tasked with keeping the amulet safe. Of course, he's going to have it in his temple or whatever. But yeah, Katana's fan being there, I guess I wasn't really a fan of that.
Yeah. I love that Tabmok.
So yeah, and then we learn on this scene that Jax is still alive.
Yeah, well, Jax has been disarmed.
He's been disarmed.
You're on a roll.
And for some reason, the Shaolin monks are the ones that give him the metal arm. or at least the phase one of his metal arms. I'm just
They scoured the realms for a solution.
That's the best all the realms had to offer.
Oh my god.
We do meet Raiden here properly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like a good introduction.
Technically, we met Raiden when he saved the baby.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we actually all get introduced to him properly in this sense.
Yes,
and like the actual main character who's supposed to be our into the movie. You know what I mean? And I mean, I was really excited to see how Raiden would be portrayed in this. And I felt like while he did a good job with what he was given, I don't think he was given much to work with.
I
felt like a shame.
I did not like Raiden's character at all in the movie. Like, I think it's one of the worst Raidens, one of the worst Raiden portrayals, like ever. I feel like I just there's nothing in that character that like that bleeds Raiden to me. Raiden is this compassionate, wise, and wise mentor, and like the first lines that he has is literally like shitting on all of his like heroes, all of the people. Like, this is what I have to work with. What the fuck? Who the fuck are you? Why the fuck are you even here? Like, I'm just like, that's not Raiden. That's not Raiden at all. It's like if Obi-Wan, it's like if like, okay, like we remake Star Wars A New Hope. You know, hopefully that never happens. And then like they have like Obi-Wan say the exact same thing that Raiden was saying about Luke or something like that. Like, that's, you know, that does not feel right. That is not the character. So
Fair.
yeah.
I like the fact that Raiden, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero all had Asian actors. I think that was good for representation and also to be like authentic to who the characters actually are, like in the first place in the original games. But I do agree that I wasn't really getting good Raiden vibes from him. And I guess after Richard Epcar's performance as Raiden for like the last 10 plus years, the bar has been raised pretty high for what we want in a Raiden character. So they really need to step it up if they're going to bring back Raiden for part 2.
That's why I'm saying I feel like you could have had more writing to him, more substance given to him, so that we could actually see what he could have done as Raiden. But I definitely agree with what you guys are saying.
There is actually a deleted scene where he's saying like, these heroes, trust me, these heroes are good. You just got to train them. There's or something like that. He there was a scene where he had faith in the heroes, like in Cole and I think Sonya or something like that, and Kano. And that was deleted. I'm like, why would you delete that scene? That is exactly that fixes Raiden. Why the fuck would you delete that scene? And also, it was taking place in a really nice, beautiful, green and bright setting outside. I'm just like, why did you delete a good scene? Why did you delete that?
And Brusk, I'll tell you, when I was watching this film, I really got the sense that Raiden was saying that stuff on purpose to try to, I don't know, piss them off and motivate them to get them, wanting to fight harder, because that was sort of what it takes to get your Arcana working, at least for Cole. I felt like he had to say some things just to try to motivate them and get the best out of them. Like, maybe he didn't really believe it, you know?
Kano too. Like, his act didn't activate until he got angry, and then he started shooting lasers everywhere.
And Kung Lao was kind of playing mind games with him to sort of get him to go. I felt like that was what Raiden was doing, but a lot of that stuff isn't really explained very overtly. It's in the subtext.
Yeah. I think so too. But I mean, I think they could have added to that. Would you guys have liked Raiden better if he were more joking, kind of like Jeff Meek and Lambert played him?
Yeah.
I think it would have been fine. I mean, like, I think that's like, see, the thing is with Lambert Raiden is that I don't know why. I think most MK fans generally are okay and love Lambert Raiden. But the naysayers are like, oh my God, he's too jokey. He's cracking jokes all the time. Just like, I watched the movie and he's only cracked like 4 jokes. Like, what are you talking about? He's doing it left and right. And it was dry humor. It was sort of like it
fit.
Yeah, it fit. Yeah. But like, I'm thinking about another character from a series that has this humor, that has this dry humor. I forgot what it was, but like, it fits. It fits, and it's done like enough times to like to make it not like really seem like out of character or like completely like this character is like a comic relief character or something like that. Like Legends did this, you know, like Raiden cracks one joke, a dry humor joke in Scorpion's Revenge. He also does it in Battle of the Realms and stuff like that. Like this is like Raiden's, like, the standard should have been set with Lambert, because that was the first time Raiden has ever been a character. Now it seems like the boring, stale, Optimus Prime booming, always speech level kind of persona is now what people think of Raiden because of NetherRealm games, because of Richard Epcar's Raiden, or like NetherRealm Raiden. I don't want to like say Richard Epcar Raiden because it sounds like I'm shitting on Richard Epcar himself. I'm not. I'm just talking about like the character, like the way he is in the games. And so yeah, I definitely feel like having that sense of humor, that dry sense of humor, is almost a requirement when you're writing Raiden. I want.
It's just another reason why we need James Gunn.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if James Gunn would be good with dry humor, though. I don't think I've really seen him do dry humor. But let's see if he does it.
So I think Raiden, like the whole thing about him doing dry humor, I was never a big fan of the jokes and stuff. I mean, I love Lambert, I love Meek's portrayal, but at the same time, him being too jokey, I always expected Raiden to be.
Oh, so I just called you out right there a little bit.
Oh yeah, you did. No, that's me. But I can appreciate it because you have this god who's been around for centuries or whatever. He's going to make jokes for himself, and so I didn't hate it. Like, it didn't bother me. And this Raiden, I didn't see any sort of love. I know it sounds cheesy, but I didn't see any love towards his combatants, which is not what I expected from Raiden. You expect Raiden to be like, these are my people. I love Earthrealm, so I love that these people are going to be fighting the tournament for me. And I didn't get that from this movie.
I think we sort of saw a little bit of that towards the end. Two scenes. One where Cole actually returns, I think. And then the second where we're jumping ahead big time now, but when he's talking to Shang Tsung at the end saying, we'll just beat you again, I feel like that's when he demonstrates that he did have confidence the entire time in them. I'm with Tabmok on this, and I'm with both Brusk and FANTiM on this, in the sense that he definitely needed more to work with. He should have been more compassionate, but I got the vibe that he was going for a tough love sort of approach to the combatants in this case.
I just never found that, because he never spent time with the heroes to kind of to show exactly where they're failing, where they're succeeding, what's going on with him, what's going on. He literally looks at the ones he's like, nah, fuck this, fuck these motherfuckers.
My big thing is Kung Lao. When Kung Lao dies, what does Raiden do? He's just like, okay, well, anyways, guys, what do you want to do?
He's like, oh, I can't save everybody. You know what? I'm just like, it's in your house, dude. Like, what do you mean you can't save everybody? It's in your house. Yeah.
I think a big part of this is Raiden is like hundreds, maybe thousands of years old. He really can't get too attached to every single generation of mortals,
But that's why, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's why he was even in the original timeline. That's why he was chosen to be the protector god, was because he was the one who cared for the mortals the most. Like, this is part of Raiden's character, is to care.
He cares. He's just trying not to, in my opinion. Like, he's like, all right, I can't let myself get too attached. Not after what happened with Kung Lao.
It's like what Meek was always saying in Conquest too. Sorry, it was like what Meek's Raiden was saying to Kung Lao in Conquest the entire time. You can't get too attached to the people around you. If you're going to be champion, you're going to live forever, hopefully, right? And it feels like they sort of took a leaf out of that, but put it into Raiden rather than into Liu Kang. Sorry, Brusk.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, I can't let, I'm going to be around for hundreds of years. These guys are all going to die off, and there's going to be a new generation. I'm going to have to train them someday. So try not to get attached to any one point in time, but try and get attached to the realm and the planet as a whole and save that from Shang Tsung.
Yeah, well, I'm not, I'm not asking for a scene of like Raiden just like breaking down on the floor. He's rolling around crying because Kung Lao died or anything like that, but like, I think it definitely doesn't like help the case to like, it definitely doesn't help. I don't think it helps your case if you're trying to say that like Raiden does care for these people and he's just giving them tough love when he really didn't care that Kung Lao died. it really didn't show that.
So the next part of the movie, it starts off where Cole, has done his training and stuff, and then he's had enough. He's like, I'm out. And Sonya says to him, she's like, Cole, don't give up on this. And then Cole gives up and he walks out. And which that leads us into, Shang Tsung, he gets all of his warriors together and sends them out. And, there's the big betrayal scene with Cabal and Kano and all that. And the temple's defenses come down, and we get our first actual fights within Mortal Kombat, like our first tournament fights.
Yeah, like a series of fights and stuff that we see. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you guys think about this part of the movie where Earth Realm warriors get their asses kicked?
Tabmok, you want to go first?
I guess my favorite part of this whole thing was finally seeing Kano be like, you know what? I'm going to side with the bad guys on this one, and you could tell that he and Cabal had some kind of history together. Obviously, as Mortal Kombat fans, we know they're both Black Dragon members. Within the continuity of this movie, not really exactly sure how it all fit together with him getting the mask and what exactly transpired between them. But whatever it is, I really liked seeing Kano say, you know what? I'm going to team up and I'm going to be with Shang Tsung. I'm going to be on the winning side this time.
I like when Kano says, or Cabal says to Kano, he says, you used to be the leader of the Black Dragon. And Kano says, I am the Black Dragon. That was a cool little line. I hate seeing Cabal a bad guy. And like that's something that bothers me in Mortal Kombat 11 also. Like,
yeah,
Cabal, I think it works. I think that works.
It worked in this movie. It definitely did.
I think it was fine. Like I was willing to just let it go and accept it in this movie, but like in general, like especially in 11, it was just like, oh my god. Especially since he was taking a point in time where he was a good guy. So like,
wait. With 11, I actually think that worked too. And it's with 9, that's where they messed up. Cabal never should have been a reformed Black Dragon member turned proper police.
Okay, that's true, and I don't like that. But at least they have it. At least they show that he's a good guy, because Cabal is a good guy. In the original timeline, he was a good guy. All right, they fucked him up in Deception.
Temporarily, up until MK Deception.
Yeah, that's right. And they fucked him up in Deception. All right, he's just this motherfucker. Like, I think he's like this. I forgot what. All right, yeah,
he's flipping back and forth like a ping pong ball. Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason to Cabal anymore.
That's the thing about Cabal. Sorry, he's on both sides the entire time in both timelines. Really. Now, in the original timeline, as you both just said, he was good and evil. He worked with Havoc to reform, I think, the Black Dragon, etc. He got beaten by Movado, then went back and beat up Movado, took back his hook swords, etc. Right. So he's like back and forth, like just like his ability, right? But then this is where I agree with you in the sense that 11 made no sense because, 9 too. Yeah, you're right, Tabmok. He shouldn't have been good technically. But then in 11, it made no sense he was bad because they took him from when he was good in the new timeline. Now,
no matter what they do with Cabal going forward, it's the wrong call.
Exactly. but Cabal was done so well in the movie, in my opinion, despite that he was evil, everything.
Let's flip back to the games for a second. Just for a second. At some point, Cabal's got to be honest. He's like, look, I don't know whether I'm good or bad or what. I just kind of like to fight. I just want to be here and fight somebody. I don't care who it is. I don't care what side I'm on. I just need that battle, man.
The character never made sense. Let's just keep it that way. Fuck it. Who cares? Who cares at this point?
Tabmok saying it's Tabmok time or combat time.
with Kano and Cabal both, in the Black Dragon, they're mercenaries. So it works. Like like I said, I hate seeing Cabal as a black guy or as a bad guy. Whoa. I got Black Dragon and bad mixed up. All right, that's gonna have to be edited out.
It's African American dragon now.
You should just keep that. That's funny. I don't think anybody. That's funny.
So I hate seeing Cabal as a bad guy, but the fact that he is Black Dragon, it works that he's a mercenary, so he gets hired out by Shang Tsung to fight for Outworld.
Tell us how you really feel.
Oh.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I learned to accept it with this movie in terms of like Cabal's betrayal and stuff like that. I guess talking about like the whole series of fights in the temple, a lot of the fights in the movie, almost all of them except for the beginning and the fight between Jackson and Sub-Zero and the end, all of them are like really poorly edited and shot. Like, I don't really get the sense that I'm watching like kung fu fighting. I feel like I'm getting like generic American action movie choreography where they're just shooting or not shooting. They're like throwing punches, like random weird choreographed punches and stuff like that. Like, especially the Melina and Sonya fight. Like, oh my God, I don't even know what's going on. Like, I think Melina flips her size twice when she's getting ready to fight. Like, she does it twice in the scene. And it's just it's terribly shot. And I don't know. I feel nothing in those fights at all because they're they're shot poorly, and I don't really get the sense of like really seeing kung fu. And like Mortal Kombat is all about kung fu, you know? It's all about it's all about martial arts. And when you're not having that in a Mortal Kombat product or movie or whatever it is, you're like, that's a big yikes. That's a big yikes.
You know, and with some of these fight scenes, like the one between Kung Lao and Natara, that was probably one of my favorite fatalities, but there was no buildup and no drama during that whole exchange.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So,
yeah,
there was some build-up. Again, there was some build-up. Shang Tsung says she's beautiful.
That's true.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Real turn on.
Yeah.
I mean, the actress is beautiful, so maybe that was a offset thing that kind of got stuck in the movie.
To me, it felt like they were trying to make it Sonya Shang Tsung at 95. Very similar to that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's true.
Yeah.
Look, to be honest, Natara didn't have enough speaking lines. Reiko didn't have enough speaking lines.
They didn't have any.
Yeah. That's an issue.
Grunting.
Yeah.
Look, imagine if you guys had Reiko and Natara on your podcast. You two talking.
We actually do on every one of our podcasts. They're here.
But you are right about the martial arts, actually, Brusk. What you're saying, like there was no real martial arts, and I think we all spoke about this. I think in the past, actually, or a few of us did, about how we were kind of concerned that they weren't bringing on enough martial artists, and they were bringing on people who might not even have been stunt actors and such, because we were worried about the action. Now, the first fight scene is everybody's favorite scene of the movie for a reason. It's because we have people who are literally experienced with martial arts, right? We have Sanada and we have Taslim, right? And Taslim, really, you could tell he was on another level. You really could.
And Max Wong, really good. Really good.
Yeah, definitely Max Wong too. It's just
this movie didn't make the most of their martial arts abilities.
That's the issue. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I totally. I mean, I would say I totally agree, but you agree with my point, so it sounds like I'm so.
I agree with you agreeing with me.
Yeah.
So, should we talk about Goro versus Cole?
No.
I mean, this is the climax of the movie almost. Well, I guess one of the climaxes. This movie has like 3 climaxes. But
I will say one more thing about the fights is that the director has been on record saying that he promised the best fight scenes ever put on film, and that was like, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. So
we got the Taslim fight. I'll take that.
Yeah, but like fight scenes, we're talking about like all the scenes in the fight in the movie.
In a trailer park.
Yeah. But anyways,
this didn't take place in Goro's lair. This took place in a trailer park.
Goro was stopped by a truck. A pickup truck.
Yeah.
You know, just once, would it be too much to ask to have like, I don't know, a bunch of gray bricks stacked up and like a skeleton being chained to the wall? Like a real cinematic Goro's lair.
Or can we have at least one time where Liu Kang beats Goro in any outside media? Like, can we finally have this, please? Nope. Never mind. Yeah.
One day.
You know, Goro, like, I'm a huge Goro fan, and you know, there's always the argument: is Goro just a jobber and stuff like that? And I defend Goro because of his backstory. And in this movie, Goro is nothing but a monster. Like he gets
Mm.
axed to the side by a random person, just like in a scary movie. Like, you know, the girlfriend's trying to help their boyfriend escape. Like it was just, it was sad. It was so sad.
It's peak fanfiction.net writing. Like Goro in a ranch or in the middle of nowhere sort of setting, and he gets stopped or like he gets hurt by an OC's wife with an axe to his leg, and he dies because, and something that stops him is because a truck hit him. And I'm literally just, I don't know what I'm doing. Just thinking about this scene. Like, it's just fucking with my head right now.
And that's the scene. That's the scene where Cole Young has the worst Arcana out of everybody in the whole movie, and that's saying something. But because I like the Arcana, but with Cole Young, it was literal plot armor.
Yep, literal plot armor.
I call it the wicker basket armor.
Yeah,
it's verbatim. It's verbatim armor from the plot. The plot decided this is when he's going to get. This is when he's going to be good.
See, I didn't mind the armor. I didn't mind the armor. The armor was cool in my opinion. My problem was with the tonfa because, firstly, Tanya. Secondly, this guy's an MMA fighter. When did he learn how to use tonfa? Was it part of his Arcana that he suddenly knows how to use them too?
That's what I said. That's what I also said. I'm just like, what do the tonfas have any relation to Cole? Like, the Arcana is supposed to have relation to you based on like stuff that's happened in your past or just like something that's part of your character. When has the tonfa when have the tonfas ever been part of his character?
Yeah.
Like, when?
Not only that, but using Cole Young to kill Goro is the worst decision they could have made because in MKX and MK11, why does everybody hate Devorah? Because they're using her to kill Melina, then they use her to kill Hanzo. So she's the newcomer and they're using her to kill off the most popular characters. Big mistake. Now they do the same thing with Cole Young, using him to kill Goro. So we already don't know if we like this Cole Young guy, but at that moment, like, dude, you don't have the right to kill Goro. He's the reigning champion for 500 years. You know, Liu Kang, it should be the one to do it. But if we see Johnny Cage or Scorpion do it, we can accept that. But Cole Young, no, dude. Sorry, just no.
When I saw that scene, I was like, I don't want to hear anybody complain about Scorpion killing Goro again in Scorpion's Revenge. All right, you can't get any worse than that because so many people like dismiss, or not so many people. I think majority of people, but like so many people just threw a pissy fit like over that scene, which honestly I didn't agree with. I think it could have been done better. There's plenty of ways you could have done it better, but like compared to like Cole Young beating Goro, like come on. Like you can't get any worse than that.
Yeah, really makes you appreciate Scorpion's Revenge a little more.
Yeah,
huh?
It makes me 100%. I've been appreciating it 100%. But yeah,
is it Cole's first win? I can't remember.
Yep, that's his first
win is against the reigning champion of Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
If you guys remember, his eyes glow, and then his armor actually comes out of his bracelet. So
his powers kick in because his family is in danger.
Yeah.
Who does that remind you of?
Scorpion. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking Johnny Cage and MKX. Like when he gets the green
thing. Yeah. I was just
But you're right. No, but the family is the source of it because his daughter made him that bracelet.
So is the bracelet the Arcana, or is it Arcana they can change bracelets into armor? Like
you don't need tattoos.
We've seen
you just need a
Arcana
bracelet.
interact with objects already. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, the metal arms, like Jax's metal arms.
Oh man.
What did you guys think about Kung Lao's death?
I go back and forth on it because I feel like here's a spicy hot take or something like that. I know a lot of people are going to give me shit for this, but I've always saw Kung Lao as being like Kung Lao being his purpose. What is always to die to motivate Liu Kang. It's been that way forever. It's been that way forever. It's happened so many times. I feel like people are not getting the message that's kind of like how the character. People aren't getting the message that this character is kind of like how it's supposed to be. I feel like people don't really see it that way because when you're playing a video game and you're playing as a character and they're really cool gameplay wise, and they have so many cool things to them. You feel like there's more to the characters. There's more like things to explore and all that kind of stuff. When in reality,
your mind fills in the blank.
Yeah, it's like this is my main character. This is the main character when you play the character, all that kind of stuff. And I just don't feel like that's the case for Kung Lao. I feel like I'm alone on that one. I will defend it to the death, but I don't mind it too much. The only problem that I have, though, the reason why it doesn't work for me, or at least half works, half doesn't, is because we got Liu Kang and Kung Lao in live action for the first time, and they have never, they did not share a single line exchange of dialogue ever. We have Kung Lao speaking to Liu Kang. We have Liu Kang speaking to Kung Lao, but they never respond to each other. There's never an exchange. There's never some sort of like real interaction in the movie. And I feel like it would have been better. This death would have worked better if we really saw like this brotherly bond or something like that, which we know that is what they have in the games. But it's not even shown in Battle of the Realms. It's not even shown. It's almost never shown outside MK media or
in the games. In the games, we see it the most.
Yeah. In the games, we see it the most, and outside media, we don't really see it.
I like the fact that Shang Tsung has his soul steal fatality. I mean, he stole, that's his big thing. That was Shang Tsung's fatality when they first showed him in MK2, but he even did it in the MK1 comic book. Like that was always his thing. He steals souls. So he needed to steal someone's soul. I'm okay with it. Like, I just wonder, are they gonna retcon Kung Lao's death? Are they gonna bring him back and like revive him in the next movie? So will that cheapen the whole thing? I don't know, but if death is a permanent thing in this movie, then, the soul steal, you need to have at least one soul stolen. I'm glad it was his.
I think it added to Shang Tsung's menacing tone, because, he's standing there the whole time watching everybody fight. Kung Lao throws the hat at him and he just like dodges it by just moving like barely at all. And then, he gets pissed off and just like sucks Kung Lao towards him and takes his soul. And it makes him a bigger villain in this storyline than, even then. I felt like at this point, like with that action, it made him a bigger villain than Cary Tagawa's Shang Tsung because of just how powerful he comes across as.
Well, I don't know if I would agree with that, because like he finally gets to establish himself as a threat, like almost halfway through the movie. Like it's almost like the movie is like beyond the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Cary did it in the opening scene.
Yeah, Cary did it in the opening scene, and he's been doing it throughout the entire movie. Like he was stealing souls of that tiger guy that Liu Kang fought. He did in the beginning of the movie, and
he did it with Art Lean.
Yeah, Art Lean. Like he was establishing his hierarchy throughout the entirety of the movie. In this movie, it's established like well beyond half of the halfway point of the movie. And before then, he was just standing around kind of being evil Shang Tsung guy, evil monster, not evil guy, but like evil antagonist guy.
Oh, and you know what else? Someone pointed out that Shang Tsung doesn't shapeshift during the entire movie.
That's
like,
true.
That's his other big thing besides stealing souls is he's a shapeshifter. He doesn't do it.
He's going to do it in the next movie. He's going to turn into Shang Tsung. Or he's going to turn into Kung Lao. He's going to turn into Kung Lao when Liu Kang faces him and all that kind of stuff.
That would actually be a really good way to bring Kung Lao back. It's actually just Shang Tsung shapeshifting. Yeah,
it's going to happen. That's 100% going to happen. You heard it here, folks.
I mean, the biggest issue with this for me, I agree with you in the sense that he used his soul steal fatality and we had to see it. And I agree as well that I'm glad it was Kung Lao's of all people. However, I don't like that Kung Lao, who's been built up to be this amazing fighter, and we all know him to be a great fighter, especially with the tone and direction they took his character in for this film. I agree with you, Brusk. I don't like the direction they've taken him in with the later games. I hate that he's this sort of arrogant fool, basically.
Yeah, he's like an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. But in this, they really bigged him up, and I like that. But then he gets done dirty just as much as he does to Nitara. Like, he literally can't get a hit in. Nothing. He throws a hat, skip, soul steal, done. Like, at least give him a bit of a fight or something. And with regards to the shapeshifting, I feel it would have been even cooler if he turned into Kung Lao and walked out of a portal or something as after he did that. Like, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, it's just the idea of Kung Lao dying. I don't mind. It's just that I wish there was more like meat toward that toward that event.
And they also should have brought back Meat as a character. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so
they left Meat out. He was my favorite character in Armageddon. What are they doing?
Yeah, like exchange of dialogue with Liu Kang, a little bit more fight scenes, and a fight scene with Shang. It would have been a little bit better. It would have just felt like a little not. I don't know. Like it just would have been better. Yeah.
Mortal Kombat has so many characters right now. It's really hard to do this movie justice and do all the characters in this movie justice because you'd want to see more screen time for everybody. We want to, like we said, Natara didn't get any speaking lines. Reiko didn't get any speaking lines. Liu Kang and Kung Lao should have had more exchanges with each other. We should have allowed all these characters a little bit more breathing room and a little bit time to learn who they are as characters. And also, they should have had more time to fight. So we really needed at least like another 30 minutes to this movie, I think.
Yeah.
They cut too much out, right?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't need to bring in the characters that they did.
They didn't need to.
Yeah, just keep it to Mortal Kombat 1's cast, and there you go. I mean, by the time we get to, they make a Mortal Kombat Armageddon movie, that movie can be 6 hours long because the story is going to be so crazy. But at this point, this is an intro movie. It doesn't need to have in characters from later down, like these later games.
And they just shouldn't have had Cole Young. And they could have. If they just stuck to the MK1 cast, maybe a tiny little bit from 2, that would have been fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't mind like Jax being in an MK1 story because it's part of Sonya's backstory. He's part of Sonya's backstory as well. I can accept it. I've accepted it at this point. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But like, and especially like if it's a prequel movie, because when you're doing prequel movies, usually it's always to establish like to give backstory to already established characters or something that's already been established. Give backstory to something. So if you're going to do a prequel movie, fine, but establish the characters in a way a prequel would do it. Like use this time to develop the characters when you get to the and then you'll have all the time in the world when you get in the tournament to do just a bunch of fights, and you don't have to do too much like character development. You should do it still, of course. But like you've already done so much of like the heavy work in a prequel type setting, but they didn't do that. So yeah. And so that's why like a lot of people go ahead.
No, go for it. Yeah, it's a different.
It's just like because I've seen so many people were like, "Whoa, Brusk, you defend Battle of the Realms, and they used a bunch of characters that didn't need to be there, but like you hate the 2021 movie." I'm like, well, hold on, there's a difference. All right, I'm okay with them. Like I'm okay with like Reiko and Li Mei and some of the characters that didn't get much in that movie because it's an MK2 story. All right. And those characters shouldn't even be there in the first place. So the fact that they're not even doing anything to like influence an MK2 story, I'm okay with that. All right. If they're just there to like be like fights, I'm okay with that. But like when you're talking about the 2021 movie, this is a prequel movie. All right. Or kind of a little bit, or at least, to the tournament. If you're putting it in a prequel setting, it's always to establish already give backstory to already established things, like put more context into already established things. So that's why I have a problem with
that. Like what you're saying about giving everybody enough time and choosing the right number of characters, you're always going to have issues. You're always going to pick a certain roster, and then not everybody's going to get their time to shine. And that's understandable. It definitely
it's okay
is,
for side characters to be side characters.
Sure, yeah, but at the same time, bear that in mind when writing and when filming, because you don't want to write in a character who's never going to get a chance. Like I fully believe that Baraka, for example, did not get put into this, and they chose Natara or somebody instead as firstly an Easter egg, and secondly because they knew they weren't going to give her much time, whereas they didn't want to do that to Baraka. But then you have, as you just said, Shang Tsung, the entire movie not making a single mark. And before the movie aired, I was so hyped for Chin Han as Shang Tsung because I love, like, he has martial arts experience. Like, I don't know if you've seen Marco Polo, for example. He's using Mantis and that praying Mantis and such. I was so hyped to see something from him. You know what I mean? Like, and then all we got was the Soul Steel. That was literally it. he didn't get any proper time to shine except to look menacing. And in a Mortal Kombat movie, I expect them to look menacing through their combat. So if you're going to pick characters, try to give them their time in the spotlight in a way which fits their character properly.
Yeah.
On that same note, I mean, should we talk about Melina? Because
we should.
I'm kidding. I keep saying no anytime. I'm joking. Yeah.
Look, I said it before. They should have had Kitana. When it comes to somebody like Melina, who's a clone, they didn't do it right. Kitana should come first. Melina, you might say, is a second stringer.
Yeah,
sorry for all the puns, guys. I hope it's not making you sigh.
Tabmok, you never fail. You never fail. You do this all the time in your videos. It's just never going to escape.
This is Yanni's favorite part. Is of having Tabmok on. So you'd rather Melina show up kind of like she did in Annihilation as part of the sequel where
No. You know what? Honestly, both at the same time. When MK2 came out, we got Kitana and Melina. They're both in the same game. They're sisters. Hey, turns out Kitana was actually the rightful heir to Outworld back when things were the way they should be. And Melina's just a grotesque clone trying to make things like keep going the bad way. It's like, wow, that's interesting. I thought these were the same characters. Turns out they've got totally different directions. They should have had them both roll out at the same time. And, the good guys find out throughout the movie that, hey, one of them can actually be trusted. One of them might actually defect to us. We just lost a defector. We just lost Kano to the bad team. But maybe we can get one of them to come to our side and even the odds a little bit. They could have had so much fun with it, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think leaving out Kitana was a big mistake.
I mean, didn't you know that clones come before the original?
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
That could add something cool for the second movie is, they see Melina again and they're like, oh shit, here we go. let's beat her up. And then it ends up being Kitana. Like that could be an interesting reversal of that dynamic, but I don't feel like that's going to happen.
I don't think so. I mostly agree with Tabmok. I mean, like, because Melina's story is so, it's a very complex and really good story, but it is a requirement to have Kitana in there 100%. And when you don't do that, you have a generic character, and that's exactly what we got. If you replace Melina with generic Outworld female number 2, nothing would change. The character would not change at all.
Could have been Jade, could have been Tanya, could have been whoever. Right. It doesn't matter.
It did. Yeah. It's so, like there is no character in Melina.
She wasn't tethered to Kitana, so she had nothing about her that made her.
Exactly.
She didn't get to be Melina.
And that's the case with Reiko. Not so much the case with Cabal, but that's the case with Reiko, and this is the case with Natara.
Yeah.
And a little bit Shang Tsung. A little bit. So yeah, it's just why? Just why are we treating characters like this? Yeah.
It might have made more sense to even have Shiva in that movie.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah,
fighting with Matara.
Just like I guess like the characters were jobbers. The characters were meant to be jobbers.
Yeah.
Why weren't they actually jobbers? Like why weren't like Shang Tsung's henchmen Melina, Reiko, and Natara? Why weren't they in those places, in those roles? Like why it's of course for recognizability to have like, oh, to market the movie, like, oh, look how many characters we have and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just like, you're sacrificing that, you're sacrificing a gimmick for character development and story and all that kind of stuff.
I'd like to see a little bit more character development, absolutely, and you can't do that with Melina without Kitana there.
Yeah.
They need each other.
Did you guys appreciate Melina and Kitana's portrayal in Legacy?
Yes. That's one of the highlights of I don't like Legacy, but that's one of the biggest highlights of Legacy, 100%.
I mean, seeing them grow up with each other and, seeing that whole interaction between them and seeing, when Kitana was starting to turn and you could see Melina getting disappointed, like, wow, you're really losing your way.
That's exactly how it was in the original timeline. Exactly. Almost exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this movie at this point, the Earthrealm Warriors have decided to come back and do their own tournament. That's not a tournament. And this is when they decide who they're going to fight. And, Jax has his new arms, so he gets to fight Reiko at the not pit stage, and
Yeah.
and Cabal and Liu Kang get to go at it again, and Cole chooses Melina, and this is the first time we actually get to see Melina's full mouth thing, where she like opens up her mouth so much because she's so angry that she can't hurt Cole because of his armor, and she ends up ripping her mouth open, and you see that full effect. Do you guys feel like this version of Melina is anywhere accurate to how you would kind of imagine this flesh pit Melina from the video games?
No, not at all. No.
Actually, there was one thing about Legacy's Melina that I didn't like, which was that her mouth kept going back from human to Tarkatan, and it should have just been Tarkatan the whole time. So that part I did kind of like, the way her mouth was portrayed in this movie a little better.
Well, I don't like Melina at all when she has lips. You're not supposed to make her look cute or pretty and all that. That's not Melina's thing. Melina's thing is like, it looks good when she has the mask on.
Yes.
When she takes it off, she's this ugly, hideous monster. All right. That's exactly how
Melina.
That's the whole point of Melina. And anytime she has lips, it's like I'm just like, why are you doing this? I think it's majority of the time, I think it's because they think it's dumb to have a character talk through like a Tarkatan mouth, and I'm just like, explain parents then. Explain parents. Nobody fucking cares. Like, come on, man. I don't yeah. Like Baraka, like nobody has been caring that Baraka can do it. Why are we caring about Melina doing
Baraka
it? Baraka
technically should not be able to say his own name.
Yeah, he can't.
Yeah. But what was weird as well was that Raiden takes his warriors to the Void right before they pick who they're fighting. And Shang Tsung apparently, coincidentally, and fortunately, cannot follow here. I would love to understand that. And also, why didn't they just go to the Nexus if that's the case? Like, is that what it was supposed to be? Like,
or why didn't they just train in the Void the whole time?
Why didn't they train in the Void? Why didn't why didn't they just train in the Void? Why didn't Raiden zap Shang Tsung away like he did at the very end of the movie? It's like there's so many ways that this movie like could have just not happened. Like the events like literally just not happen if Raiden just did his job. If Raiden literally just did what he was supposed to do, the movie like wouldn't have happened if he actually did what he's supposed to do. So,
the Void was really a scary, dangerous place when they hinted at it in Deadly Alliance and Deception. And here it was almost just a stand-in for the heavens.
Yeah.
Like when, in MK4, when you see that Johnny Cage's soul goes to heaven and he makes it back, there's a sense that like, oh, okay, that's where the dead people go. But when there was a Soulnado and they, Draman and Moloch threw Scorpion into it and that was going to destroy him, only somehow his soul made it to the Void where the Elder Gods are. And it was just a miracle that happened. That seemed like a freak chance that even happened. It seemed like the Void should just destroy people. Like that's what they would have expected. But here it's like, hey, I know, let's all just go to the Void.
Yeah. it's I don't know. I didn't bother.
You bring the pizza. I'll bring some sodas. Let's all go to the Void for the party.
I'm just like, okay, yeah. I didn't really think of it that way, but the more like you put it that way, I'm just like, yeah, damn. Like if they're gonna treat like the Void like it's just some safe place, some safe haven.
It's a safe space.
Literally a safe space. Why didn't they just train there? Like why? Like you could have prevented all of this, Raiden. You could have prevented all of this by just putting them there. Now I think Greg, the writer, said something about like, oh, they can't go to the bathroom or something. I was just like, okay, come on, man. Like that was his explanation. Yeah, that was his explanation. Just like, well, what if they needed to go to the bathroom? I'm just like, okay, dude, really?
Like that
I think he literally said like, well, like, there's a lot of questions that come up. Like, what if they need to go to the bathroom? Just like,
then you open up a portal to the trailer park, I guess.
Yeah, just open up a portal
and come right back.
Teleport a toilet, do something, man.
I mean, it calls into question why they even felt the need to put Raiden's force field up with his staff, which could apparently be destroyed so easily from the inside. It's like, he didn't even need to put a force field. All he could have done is just zap him away as soon as he saw him enter the temple. That's it. He has the right to do to do that, and he did that at the very end of the movie.
Should have done that earlier.
Yeah, he should have just done that earlier.
What do you guys think about the rest of the fights during this scene? like Sonya versus Kano, for example?
I can't see anything. It's so dark. It's just like it's such a dark setting, and
it's a very tight setting. It's a very tight setting. They have no room to fight. It was a little claustrophobic of a scene.
They were literally in a toilet for a while, weren't they?
Yeah.
In the bathroom, yeah.
It goes back to the director's obsession with going to the bathroom here, I guess. I would like to get one of those lawn gnomes, though.
Yeah, the lawn gnomes.
I think Kano really liked it too.
It's the deadliest weapon that Sonya has.
If anybody finds a website where you can get like that exact lawn gnome, hit me up in the comments. Let me know.
Tabmok, I think you really would buy that.
Yeah, you would.
You got it.
Wait, don't you have the same watch that Bridget Wilson had?
You have a good memory. Yes, I do. Yeah. I tracked down that exact model watch. It's a Pathfinder MW43.
It's amazing.
Wow.
I want that. Yeah, but talking about the fights, I just find it a little weird that like, why are you like Raiden like is sending these guys to out? Like, why are you sending them to Outworld? Like, why are you sending Jax and Reiko to Outworld? Like, it's just so. Yeah, it's just weird. Like, or like Shao Kahn's fortress, or like, oh no, it's actually Cabal's lair. I think that's what it was. Like what? Why are you sending them to Outworld, or like what is the purpose of these settings? Why are they all in these different settings? It's of course for MK references, the pit, and then we have a Shao Kahn statue, like maybe some sort of Shao Kahn fortress or something like that. But it just doesn't make sense in terms of like story writing. Like, why would you send them there?
Yeah, what was Raiden's motivation for sending them to Outworld? I mean, I think I think Cole Young said we want to take the tournament to them, right? So we're just gonna track them. They're not expecting us to do this. I don't know. Does it really matter where they fight, though? No. Anything's better than a freaking trailer park at this point.
Well, Sonya's works because Sonya knows her turf. Like there's that one scene where she went on the floorboards or whatever, and then
Sonya's I guess works. It's just that like. I don't know. I just don't see the. I feel like you can bring the fight to them if you. I think you can bring the fight to them if you like bring them in a different. I don't know. I just don't see the point of.
I think I was okay with it, but then the final scene, the final conflict for Scorpion and Sub-Zero takes place at Cole Young's gym, and it's like okay,
the big climax takes place in a frozen gym.
But Raiden didn't choose that spot, or Cole didn't. That was Scorpion's location, wasn't it?
No, it was
I'm sorry. Sub-Zero chose it because he kidnapped the family and then takes them to the gym and freezes them up there. So like, I mean, there's so much of this movie. You're just like budget, and that's the only explanation you have for it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. Like 95 had a very small budget, and they were able to have a lot of really nice scenes and a lot of nice settings. So.
Well, I mean, but if you're in Australia, where are you going to shoot? It's either rocks or the gym down the road.
Yeah, I know. So. I mean, that's true, but I'm just like, well, then don't shoot in Australia. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My biggest issue with most of the fights, really, I mean, other than the fact that the martial arts themselves weren't on the same scale as we already discussed from the initial fight scene of the movie and the final one, but also the sort of things that happen within them. So, for example, Sonya versus Kano. He loses control of his eye because she throws, alcohol into his eye or something, right? Rubbing alcohol. Then he gets a gnome in the eye. Then on top of that, you've got Sonya suddenly turning up after every single good guy has spent the entire movie training to get their arcana, gets the marking within literally 3 seconds, apparently, has complete mastery over her arcana.
She has the pink rings, and what do the pink rings have? Like, what do the pink rings have anything to do with her? Like,
nobody ever.
What is the relationship? Yeah, what's the relation? Yeah, like maybe nobody wanted to propose her. Yeah, probably.
It's like Tabmok's video. Is it mechanical or is it embedded? Like,
it's magic or is it tech?
You know what? I had a headcanon in the original timeline that was actual chi.
Yes,
I think, because like I think I don't remember exactly where it was, but I think I remember there was something in the lore that said that Liu Kang and Sonya trained with each other. and Sonya learned it from Liu Kang. I don't think it's actually said that. I think I made that connection because Sonya does the bicycle kick, and so that's and then she does, and then she has some sort of like fireball. So I thought, okay, maybe she was training with Liu Kang. That was my headcanon.
I can see where you would think that, but she shouldn't have that by MK1. She shouldn't have already been training.
No,
with
but
him.
that was an MK. That was an MK3 where she had it.
The bicycle kick, yes.
MK4 going up, no? Oh, 3.
No, MK3 she had it going up. Yeah.
Oh,
But
right.
that wouldn't explain the ring toss.
Oh, that's true. Oh wait, she does have the rings in. Yeah, she does have the rings in MK. That's true.
Yeah.
So why would she have it in the movie? That's the question.
That's her Arcana.
It's her Arcana, but like, what do they have in relation to her? That's
I don't know, but Arcana can interact with tech, so you know.
Oh, so maybe she was wearing that special fancy watch that Bridget Wilson had, and
right.
All right, so let's talk about the last
Pathfinder MW43.
Pathfinder MW43.
We are not sponsored.
The final battle with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. This is the next big climax of the movie, and by far one of the top 2 fight scenes in the entire movie. And this is, I mean, it had to be because this is what everybody's waiting for. Let's talk about some of the positives and negatives of this scene, though. Who would like to start?
Go ahead, Tabmok. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. First of all, Scorpion versus Sub-Zero is the fight that all the Mortal Kombat fans want. So, the studio did the right thing here as far as making it about Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I don't think they can pull that trick again for the sequel, but I think it was the right call. I think it was a good note to end the movie on. I think it was a nice, long, drawn-out fight. I think it was cool seeing Scorpion actually say, "Get over here" for the first time, only it wasn't Ed Boon's voice. So maybe that was actually okay. Maybe they didn't need to repeat the whole Ed Boon's voice. I like seeing Sub-Zero actually was very menacing again, with freezing people. It was very high stakes. And I guess what else? I really liked when Scorpion did his fatality and lit Sub-Zero up on fire. You saw Sub-Zero turn into ashes. There was a little bit of hint that he was like going to become Noob Saibot with the fact that they made it look like black ash when he was burnt up. So
even his outfit.
I think they did a really lot of good stuff here.
I am, you know what? I've always said that like I don't really mind. Besides the setting, being the final climactic fight of a Mortal Kombat movie takes place in a frozen gym. That's just I hate that. I hate that 100%. But the fight itself is actually pretty good. I like it. I mean, like Ko Young is in there. I don't think Ko Young needs to fight and all that. And it kind of has to for story purposes. There's sort of like no way. There's sort of no way out of that. But like, you know what? For the most part, it is Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, and I think it was done very, very, very well. I actually didn't like the Toasty too much because it's less gory than Anakin burning in Revenge of the Sith. Like that is peak burning, like a very gory burn scene of somebody burning in a PG-13. And that movie was PG-13, and Anakin burning was more gory than Sub-Zero burning in this movie, which is rated R. So I feel like they could have done.
Seeing a burn victim survive makes it worse than actually seeing them burn to death. Because at least when they're dead, it's like, okay, they're out of their misery. But Anakin got to stay alive through that. It's like, oh God, he's going to be tortured forever now.
It was painful. It was brutal. Yeah. And that was in a PG-13 movie. And this is rated R. And this guy just turns like to black. And that's it. It's just, I don't know. I didn't like it too much. I know a lot of people did because, hey, lol, Toasty, which, I understand. But like when you're talking about Mortal Kombat, and especially when they were talking when promoting this movie, they were talking a lot about like how gory this movie is. The movie is so fucking gross. La 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 la. I'm just like, okay, well, if you're saying that and that's your Toasty fatality, come on, you can do better.
I would say this too. I like the Toasty fatality, but I like the old games where when Scorpion rips his mask off, he's a skeleton. That's it. I don't like some of the stuff they started doing right with X. So, just with the last 2 installments where his head kind of goes back and forth from looking like a human face to a skull, depending on his mood. Yeah, I don't know if I like that stuff.
I go back. I think we started with 11, where like it's sort of like it's like that you can see through. Like it's like you can see through, like a skeleton see through kind of thing. I go back and forth on whether or not like I like him ripping off and then he's a skeleton or not. I kind of like the Ghost Rider approach where he can go back and forth. But I feel like if you're going to go with the Ghost Rider approach, Ghost Rider literally, you can visually see a skull. So I feel like that would be better.
Hey, when did Scorpion join us?
Look, this is how they do Scorpion now. Oh, want to look like a skull? I look like a skull. I want to look normal? I look normal. Want to look like a skeleton again? No, I'm a skeleton. Normal, skeleton. Normal, skeleton. Normal, skeleton. Normal, skeleton.
So that's all they had to do for the movie. Just got a filter. That was it.
Yeah. That's all they had to do.
That exact same one.
I did like Toasty on the movie, how, he's breathing on fire, but his lower jaw and stuff starts looking bony and stuff because it's kind of burned away. I like that effect that they did there.
And he did. It was sort of a good balance, what you're saying. Sorry, FANTiM. I'm just agreeing with you. Like that he removed the mask and then it sort of turned into a skull, kind of like what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like he had melted himself away and then his skin's there when he's done or whatever. But one thing about the fight, everybody loves this fight scene. I rewatched it last night, and there's a scene where, they're doing this whole tag team on Sub-Zero. Scorpion throws the kunai, and it misses Sub-Zero. Cole grabs it and rethrows it, and it gets stuck in Sub-Zero, and then Scorpion pulls him or something. And it was just this tag team fight, just get rid of Cole. It was so much better before it got back to Cole.
Yeah.
Cole Young is the worst case of studio interference. You know what I mean? I used to compare him to Poochie, from Itchy and Scratchy, where they added him, or maybe the Great Gadzoo from Flintstones, but or Jar Jar. Since we're making so many Star Wars references on this stream, really, if we had just stuck with the Mortal Kombat base roster and added new characters if they were needed, in small bits and pieces. We didn't really need this whole big thing where the movie revolved around him. What were they thinking?
He doesn't do a single thing in the movie. He just doesn't until the Goro thing and a little bit of an assist with the Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight.
It was better when he wasn't doing anything because he hasn't really earned that right. We haven't been playing as this guy for 25 years. Come on.
Yeah, I think it's official. Lewis Tan's never going to come on the Realm Cast at this point in the episode. So,
Lewis, we'd love to talk to you, man. Come on and join us.
That's my fault, guys. That was my fault, guys. I spent this entire stream shitting on Cole Young, bringing it up.
Why don't you get Lewis Tan first and then go back and air this episode afterwards?
Right.
No. One thing that we do make very clear here on the Realm Cast is, firstly, we're not just going to say what we think people want to hear. We'll always say what we believe. Now, one thing I was very clear about is that I am quite a big Lewis Tan fan in the sense that I enjoy a lot of his work.
He's a good martial artist.
Yeah. It's definitely. And I was very excited.
We saw a clip of him in MK Legacy and MK Generations. It would have been awesome.
Exactly. So I was very excited to see him in the movie. I just don't like the direction they took him in with Cole, of course. And most Mortal Kombat fans agree. Now, I specifically... with regards to Cole, I think that they could have done him very well if they put him more to the side rather than as the lead. And he could have been interesting. Now, as I said, I like the idea of his Arcana being the wicker basket, as FANTiM says it. It was actually an interesting take. It was like a protective suit. It was, as you said, literal plot armor. But it could have had other abilities attached to it rather than a tonfa. We could have seen Cole become a cool character if he didn't have this weird sort of modern MMA beaten down approach, which really could have just been, from the start, Johnny Cage, so it's not his fault. And again, I'm not just saying this because man, Lewis Tan, you want to join us? Cool. You don't? Fair enough. We've been hating on Cole for quite a while, but it's just a shame. And I don't think it's his actual fault. I think
there's nothing he could have done that would have changed the way Mortal Kombat fans feel about the fact that he's a new character. He's the new guy. There's just no getting around it. It doesn't matter who they pick or how good that fighter is or actor is or whatever. Just, we want to see a Mortal Kombat movie and we want to see the Mortal Kombat characters that we are already familiar with. We don't need a new person. I would have loved to have seen Lewis Tan in any other role. Literally, Lewis Tan is great. It's just the character that we didn't really need. Then not just him, but the whole plot line.
So the studio's decision to make a Cole Young movie that that the original script started off with, that we've talked about in the past, that is one thing. And if you wanted to make this movie and make it about somebody outside of Mortal Kombat experiencing Mortal Kombat, like from an outside perspective, okay, you can do that and see if it does well. But that's not why people are going to the movie. And this movie ended up becoming such an amalgamation of, trying to take away that story, but still keep whatever the studio interference had into it. And that's, I think, what fans don't like about Mortal Kombat 2021.
I think the writers did their best to try to work around the studio's interference. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we can see their love for the franchise comes through, and it is what it is. If there's any, but that did stop this movie, I think, from being the best movie that it could have been. Because honestly, to this day, when you see what is the best video game movie ever made, everybody says Mortal Kombat, and they mean the 1995 film one.
Yeah.
But if the studio had just let the writers do their thing, they could have been saying Mortal Kombat 2021, because this movie hits a lot of the right notes. They have a good tone. They have the right violence. They have a lot of talented martial artists. They've got better special effects now than what we used to be able to do in the 90s. All the elements were there for this to be the ultimate Mortal Kombat movie. For everybody saying, hey, what's your favorite video game movie? Mortal Kombat 2021. They were this close.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it. I still really like this movie, but it wasn't better than the 1995 film, and they could have gotten there.
Yes.
Brusk, what would you have done different?
I would have probably. There's so many things. Oh my god. Okay, so I of course I would have made it I just would have completely made it a MK1 story. All right. I know a lot of people, a lot of the not criticism, but response to like, oh, why wasn't it an MK1 movie? A lot of people were like, well, we already saw the tournament and so many times. I'm just like, okay, when was the last time we saw a tournament? Up until like when in the cinemas, when was the last time we saw a tournament? 1995. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Scorpion's Revenge was direct to video. Okay. And that came before. Like, I don't know where this notion of like, we saw the tournament so many times. I don't know where that notion comes from. I think when you're making a reboot of a movie, you start with the roots, and the roots start with the tournament. And literally all you needed to do was just do that and just make it different from the 95 movie. I get like not wanting to remake exactly 95, but 95 didn't establish like how the tournament works, so you could have improved there. Didn't, do much on Scorpion and Sub-Zero. They already did that here. So, hey, take the elements that worked in the 2021 movie and put it in like a, in my kind of like, my ideal MK 2021 movie and all that kind of stuff. Crap. You can do a lot of the better fight scenes, because like, as much as I like the 95 movie, not all the fight scenes work. There's probably like only like 2 really, really good ones. The others are like kind of like acceptable. Make better fight scenes, shoot them better. There's just so much in this movie that like I could talk on hours on end about like exactly like how to fix it, but like it really comes down to starting from scratch to me. Honestly, I feel like you really need to start from scratch when it comes to like making a good Mortal Kombat movie. Yeah.
So after this, I mean, the movie basically ends. Raiden and Shang Tsung have their parting words. Scorpion says, "You have freed me. Take care of my bloodline." To Cole and his family in Japanese. And Cole, as far as we know, doesn't speak Japanese, so this is a very confusing scene. So
he can read subtitles, can't he?
That's right. Yeah, that's it. The subtitles are in Japanese too, though. So, I mean, and we get the whole teaser for Johnny Cage and that sort of thing. Cole's not going to be doing $200 fights anymore. He's gone off to find the next set of warriors. I got 2 last questions basically for you guys. Do you think that Cole's going to be in the next movie? And do you think the next movie is going to do better or be better?
Well, first of all, I do want to congratulate the team, because this is the most popular movie on HBO Max.
Yeah.
You saw how fans were going rabid for release the Snyder Cut. Okay, they released the Snyder Cut. Mortal Kombat did better than that.
Yeah.
And they released Godzilla, which is another like really long-standing popular franchise. Mortal Kombat outshined Godzilla too. Like Mortal Kombat is still HBO Max's most popular film, so that's really saying something.
And
Not
it aired
just
in
about the
theater
quality of the
same
film,
time.
but what's that?
And it aired in theater at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So even though fans could still go to the theaters, it was still HBO Max's greatest accomplishment. So having said that, Mortal Kombat, that's a tribute to Mortal Kombat as a whole. Mortal Kombat fans want to see the film, but that also says that the quality of the film, it had something there. You know what I mean? There was something really good about it that made fans want to go check it out. As far as will they give Cole Young a spot in the sequel? I mean, how can they not? His goal was to go and find Johnny Cage. How are you going to say, oh, Cole Young found me, and then not actually show him? That would be so weird. Like, yes, they're going to have Cole Young in the movie.
It would be weird, but I don't think anybody would care. I really don't think anybody. I think people would mainly be happy with that. I don't think I mean, like, I don't know. I can't really think of anybody who would really like be like disappointed that Cole is not in the next movie, or like, you know, like he barely has any scenes.
Well, I don't know. I'm not privy to the details of Louis Tan's contract either, so that might have that. Might
I don't think they're all. Yeah, I don't think they're in a contract. I think I think they were assigned to do this movie and wanted to see how it would do, and then we'll see what happens on the next one. I think that's. I think that's what it's.
I think we have pretty clear confirmation that Louis Tan is coming back, judging by his latest tweets and such.
Well, all of them were promoting. Every cast member was promoting the movie, and I think what was it? Melina's CC Stringer. Is it Stinger or Stringer? Stringer. Okay, yeah. I think she posted on her Instagram or something like that, where she was like, "I hope we're in the next movie" or something like that. I was like, "Oh, like
yeah." They don't have. I don't think they've received the script. The actors.
Yeah.
I don't think they have it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I don't think. I think they're just promoting it, like saying, like, "Hey, like we worked on this movie, and guess what? You're gonna get more of it. We'll see what happens." You know.
Good point. Yeah, I mean, judging by the shift in writer and everything, I think we have something to look forward to personally. So
when I saw that there's going to be a new writer, I'm like, okay, you're fixing something. You're fixing a problem. They're probably going to get a new director too. All right, you're fixing the problem and all that kind of stuff. But if like Cole Young is still in the movie, man, I don't know. It's just like I don't know if I can trust it. You know, like you can tell me that like you can tell me that he's not in the movie, or like he's like in a scene for like 2 scenes or something like that, and I'll be okay with it. But like, I don't know. We'll have to see. You know, I'll in terms of the second movie, any movie in general when it's not from Marvel, and like maybe and like maybe like high tier directors, I don't trust when they say like this movie is coming out. Like DC has announced so many movies, and like 2 of them are getting made. So
which
like
is Warner Brothers.
Yeah, which is Warner Brothers. So I never believe them anytime they're saying that we're making this movie. All right, I will believe it until they start filming. All right, when they start filming, there's no way out. Do
you remember there was going to be like a Superman movie with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah. Well, do you know? Remember there was supposed to be a Deadshot movie. All right, that never happened. There was supposed to be a Deathstroke movie. That never happened. There's so many movies that DC Warner Brothers announced. Yeah, well, that's not DC Warner Brothers, but yeah,
projects that'll never see the light of day.
Yeah. Well, so like anytime that they announce something, I never believe it until they start filming, because when they start filming, there's no going back, of course. So like we'll see if it happens.
Started filming MK Generations, and that's still never going to see the light of day.
Yeah.
Even when they start filming, that's no guarantee.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But go ahead. One more thing. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will say that like with the second movie, them getting a new writer, that's a step in the right direction. Them getting a new director, step in the right direction. Probably means there's going to be a big shift in behind the camera work, and I think that's okay, because I think that's where it really starts, and I think that's where the root of the problem is the stuff behind the camera. I don't think it has anything to do with the actor or actress and stuff. I think you can mostly work with those people.
You know, I like the writer and director in this movie. I thought they did a pretty good job. I thought the studio interference was really the biggest problem. So, and it's the same studio. So I don't know if the real issue is going to be changed here. But I'm a bigger supporter of the movie than you are. So I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So Brusk, tell us before we get off, and then I'll come back to you, or I'll come back to you, Tabmok, after this. Brusk, why should people avoid Mortal Kombat 2021?
I feel like if you really care about the lore and you really care about the characters, the development, and if you really care about like the essence of Mortal Kombat, if you really care about like, if you've been sticking around for the same reasons I have because of the characters, the story building, I really don't think you're not going to get that in this movie. All right. You'll have references, you'll have Easter eggs. All right. Those are cute. Those are fun. You could enjoy them. I don't enjoy them when I'm not getting character development, when I'm not getting story development, and I'm not getting like I'm not getting good fight scenes as well, because I'm getting like one or two, maybe three. So like in a Mortal Kombat movie, that shouldn't happen. Mm-hmm. So if you really care about the story that if you really care about the franchise like I do, I stuck around with the franchise because the characters, the story, and the lore. I don't think you're going to get that in this movie at all. It's mainly dumb fun, and I don't really look at Mortal Kombat for dumb fun. I look at Mortal Kombat because of its really nice, well written story and lore that it has. You know, I don't want everything to be accurate. Of course, I'm never going to like say like that's like super not accurate. It's super not like the games. It's okay. I'm okay with changes as long as they make sense. And I don't really think most of the changes in this movie make sense at all. So yeah.
Tabmok, why should people give this movie a chance?
Well, I've been a fan of the Mortal Kombat series since the beginning, and I'm also big into the lore, just like Brusk. So,
man,
I'm just a little confused by your response there, Brusk. But I do think fans should give it a chance. And, to be fair to Brusk, he gave it a chance. If you're a fan of the franchise, of course, you're going to give it a chance. You have to see what it is and make up your own mind. There's parts of this movie that I liked. There's parts of this movie that I didn't like. I think this was a good film, but I do think it is lacking in a lot of the areas that Brusk touched upon. And I don't think it's quite up to speed where the Mortal Kombat 1995 film was. I don't think it's that great, but it could have been, and it's close, and it's got potential. And I'm still excited for a sequel. So I'd say see this, go ahead and see this film. I don't know if there's going to be a sequel or not, but if you haven't seen this film for some reason, you should do it. It is HBO Max's #1 popular movie for a reason.
Well, yeah. Thank you guys. And everybody, you've got some positives and negatives on why you should see the movie. You're going to find things that you like. You're going to find things that you don't like. And I think that's going to happen for most things that you really watch at any point in time, especially nowadays. So before we let you guys go, we're going to do a little bit of a spin on our usual outro question and ask you, what was your favorite finisher from the movie? Let's start off with Brusk.
Oh man. Which was the one? I'm trying to think. Okay, which was the one that really made it? Which fatality made it really seem like it was an R-rated movie? And I think that would have to go to Kung Lao's. That one was pretty gross. That was the one that I was like, okay, that one was pushing the boundaries. That one was solidifying itself as an R-rated movie. Everything else, you could probably get away with being a PG-13 movie.
All right.
So I would say Kung Lao's. Yeah.
I think Tabmok, judging by his reaction, tends to agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are watching carefully, but if you were reading my lips, I was lip syncing Kung Lao right when Brusk was saying it. So,
I wasn't looking, so I didn't notice.
I was almost going to write it down on a piece of paper and hold it up as he was talking.
Dating game.
Yeah, Kung Lao's buzzsaw fatality on the Tara. I might have even said that earlier in the stream. I don't remember, but that was definitely my favorite fatality from the whole thing. Sub-Zero ripping Jax's arms off was also fun to see. Technically not a fatality since he survived it, but it was awesome. So those are some of my favorite moments from the whole movie.
Brutality, that's what it was. Oh no, brutality is also and in them dying. So okay, it's not a fatality or brutality.
Well, you can say it was a spin on a friendship.
It's a heroic brutality. How about
heroic brutality.
Tabmok, where can our listeners find you?
I'm on YouTube at youtube.com/Tabmok99. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram and Twitch at Tabmok99.
And Brusk, how about yourself?
You can find me on YouTube. Just search up BruskPoet. You'll see it there. On Twitter, I don't use it much, but BruskPoet is also the same thing. The same thing with Instagram. Instagram, BruskPoet. You'll find me there. Also on Discord. I don't believe we have a unique Discord link yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure right now, since we have like Nitro and you have to you have to boost yourself all the way to level 3. you can just look up discord.gg/bros my Discord.
All right. Thank you very much, Tabmok99 and BruskPoet, for coming on and joining us again on this episode. It was a pleasure to have you both here on the Realm Kast.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you guys for having us. And even though you had me supporting the movie and Brusk attacking the movie, I was amazed at how much we actually agreed on most of the fine points and most of the details. It was just our conclusion. That's where we differed, really.
Yeah. I'm curious, for all of our listeners, like, did this change your mind on anything in the movie? Like, or were your minds already made up? Did this kind of make you reconsider some scenes? Like, leave us a comment or tweet us or something, because I want to know what your thoughts on the movie were and if they changed at all from this episode. So you can find Yanni and myself, FANTiM, on the Mortal Kombat group on Facebook, and you can also find Yanni on the Mortal Kombat meme realm. Special thanks to Uppercut Editions, the team behind the fan-made Mortal Kombat Compendium, for their continued support. You can follow them at Uppercut LLC on Twitter and the Mortal Kombat Encyclopedia Project on Facebook. You can catch up on all episodes of the Realm Kast on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, and Spotify. Thank you.
Thanks.
It's a birthmark.